Chapter 370. This was a battle between heaven's favorites, so naturally, there were many spectators. Inside the light membrane space, within a radius of 100 miles, the number of geniuses who were secretly watching the battle increased from a few people to a dozen, then a few dozens. On a lone peak in the northwest corner, a ferocious two-headed, four-armed Siamese was watching the battle from afar. Zhezha, it's best if we wait until they're both heavily injured before we charge over and destroy them. Taiyan Shuang laughed weirdly. That bitch goddess Bing Wei wants us to fight for her. Zhezha, how could it be so easy? No one can order us around. Taiyan Shuang said cunningly. Taiyan Shuang didn't agree to work with goddess Bing Wei and instead watched from the shadows. The situation was going smoothly, and goddess Bing Wei and Taiyan Shuang won a fight. The prey in the eyes of the overwhelming prodigies was unimaginably strong and was fighting against the overwhelming prodigies. The stone man has been completely suppressed. The stone man can't even fight back against that guy. Taiyan Shuang's two faces were filled with shock as he stared at the battlefield in disbelief. Between the rivers, Zhao Feng used his Eye of Ice Soul and froze Shi Chengtian's consciousness as he sped around. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Every time the Luoho Bao's ice and thunder arrows attacked, Shi Chengtian would feel a chill run down his spine. Roar! Shi Chengtian roared towards the sky and almost went crazy, but he couldn't change the fact that he was slow and stiff. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't even get close to his opponent. How sad was this? Although his defense was strong, Zhao Feng's Luoho Bao continued to attack his knees, and the damage continued to accumulate. As time went on, Shi Chengtian's consciousness was slightly injured. This was because he had a soul treasure that could block and weaken mental energy attacks, or else the damage to his consciousness would be several times worse. It was obvious that Shi Chengtian seniors had prepared a soul treasure before the sacred True Dragon gathering. Ancient Colosseum. On the spectating stand and stage, the experts of the continent, including some sovereigns, were all watching this battle. Zhao Feng. Some of the younger generation, spectating the battle, couldn't help exclaiming in excitement and worship. Many people had personally witnessed this youth's miraculous rise step by step. I can't believe he became a new peerless prodigy in such a short time. Before, when he fought goddess Bing Wei, it was a draw, but now he's beaten Shi Chengtian to the point where he can't fight back at all. The spectator stands were bustling with noise. More than 99% of the people were paying attention to this battle. From the start of the sacred True Dragon gathering until now, a new genius had successfully defeated the overwhelming prodigies and created a new glory. Junior brother Zhao, you were actually able to reach this step? I will definitely bring this good news back to the 13 countries and the Broken Moon clan to master. Tears welled up in Yang Gan's eyes as his body trembled with excitement. At this moment, he was overjoyed to the point of insanity. The Broken Moon clan has such a genius. When Brother Zhao returns to the 13 countries, he'll definitely change the situation in the cloud area. Yang Gan was pleasantly surprised and expectant. With Zhao Feng's current growth rate, his strength would definitely increase after the sacred True Dragon gathering ended and he entered the inheritance. On the stage, the 9 sovereigns silently watched the battle between Zhao Feng and Shi Chengtian. Zhao Feng has indeed reached the level of an overwhelming prodigy. This is the 6th overwhelming prodigy. Will there be a 7th or even more? The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord murmured with expectation in his eyes. At this moment, no one doubted Zhao Feng's strength or his status as an overwhelming prodigy, becoming an overwhelming prodigy at the age of 17. In this era, only Yu Qianhao and a few other overwhelming prodigies could be compared to him. This Zhao Feng's strength isn't much different from Shi Chengtian, but he can always find the flaws of others. The mystic sword sovereign sighed. That's right. No one is perfect, and there's no perfect skill in the world. This Zhao Feng can always find the flaws of others. That's his trump card. The Green Moon sovereign nodded her head in agreement. She had been paying attention to Zhao Feng for a long time and at the beginning it was because of the little thieving cat. But if this continues, sure Qing Tian's leg might be crippled. A sovereign's eyebrows furrowed. Every overwhelming prodigy was a prodigy that would only appear once in several generations. They could be said to be the future sovereigns that would decide the fate of the continent. If allowed, the Sacred Alliance wouldn't let any accidents happen to any overwhelming prodigy, even if they were crippled, within the bubble of light. Sure, Qingtian's knee was suffering from the continuous attacks from the Luoho Bao, and he was limping as he ran. He shot dozens of arrows. Each arrow is filled with ice and lightning and is enough to threaten an overwhelming prodigy, but he's only lightly injured. Zhao Feng, who was in the middle of drawing his bow, was also surprised. Even someone at the True Lord rank would lose a layer of skin if they didn't die from this many arrows. Of course, in just a dozen or so breaths, the outcome of the battle was decided. Sure, Qingtian's mind was injured and his mental energy reaction was slow. His knee was injured and his speed decreased. Even in close combat, Zhao Feng could crush Sure Qingtian. Shameless bastard. Don't be arrogant. Goddess Bing Wei reacted and charged towards Zhao Feng in a streak of cold light. At this moment, she couldn't care about what she promised Sure Qingtian. It's too late. Zhao Feng smiled and put away the Luoho Bao as an azure lightning flame flashed in his left eye. Lightning Fire God's eye. Zhao Feng's lightning fire god's eye first locked onto Sure Qingtian. Not good. Tell him to stop. The expressions of the sovereigns on the stage changed. Before this, Zhao Feng's ice and lightning attacks had continuously damaged Sure Qingtian's body. Sure Qingtian's stone-like body became incomparably cold, hard, and brittle. The cold power of the ice soul continued to freeze his mind. If he were to launch another attack and instantly explode with the super-powerful Thunder Fire God's eye, turning from extreme cold to extreme heat, it would bring great harm to Sure Qingtian, whether it was his body or his spirit. However, even if they knew this, the sovereigns on the stage couldn't stop it. The sacred True Dragon Gathering had lost control of the Sacred Alliance and was controlled by the ancient arena. At this moment, Sure Qingtian also felt a fatal sense of danger. He tried his best to kneel on the ground and cover his head with his hands. This way, he could avoid the fatal attack and reduce the damage by more than half. Boom! A ball of fierce lightning fire landed on Goddess Bing Wei. You! Goddess Bing Wei was shocked and enraged as lightning and fire exploded on her body. The transparent power of lightning and fire quickly eroded into the mental energy dimension and burned. It was obvious that the lightning fire gods countered Goddess Bing Wei's mystic ice technique. Compared to the first round, Zhao Feng's lightning fire gods had reached a whole new level. In the past few days of seclusion, Zhao Feng had absorbed the pure lightning yuan qi from the lightning mystic stone and purposely raised his true spirit lightning flame. This sudden eye flame caught Goddess Bing Wei off guard, and her mind was lightly injured. Her snow-white skin was scorched black. Who, on the other side, Sure Qingtian covered his head with his hands and curled up on the ground. Finding that the lightning fire god's eye didn't land on him, he let out a long breath with lingering fear. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline was extremely fast and could definitely attack him before he could cover his head. If Zhao Feng was a bit more cunning and aimed the lightning fire god's eye at his slightly crippled knee, it could definitely cripple Sure Qingtian's leg. Why didn't he attack me? Sure Qingtian had just survived the calamity and was puzzled. At this time, he found that Goddess Bing Wei had been attacked by the lightning fire god's eye and was at a disadvantage. The river was in a mess. The two overwhelming prodigies, Goddess Bing Wei and Sure Qingtian, one in the air and one on the ground, both seemed to be in a ruffled state. Goddess Bing Wei's snow-white skin, including her face, had many black burn marks on it. Her black hair was emitting green smoke, which made her look like an explosive bird's nest. She did not look like a fairy at all. Sure Qingtian was hugging his head on the ground, and one of his legs was almost crippled. His actions were slow and stiff. Outside the arena, earth-shattering laughter could be heard from the spectator stands. This Zhao Feng is smarter than I thought. The sovereigns couldn't help but smile and let out a breath. Zhao Feng didn't attack, sure, Cheng Tian, and instead used shock to intimidate the two overwhelming prodigies. This was more effective than attacking the enemy directly. Of course, more people were stunned by Zhao Feng's terrifying strength and inconceivable control. The geniuses who were watching the battle from the shadows were all shocked. What kind of scene was this? In their vision, Zhao Feng's blue hair blew in the wind as he stood with his hands behind his back. An azure lightning mystic flower flashed on his forehead, and his eyes were cold as he looked down on the two ruffled, overwhelming prodigies. This cold and evil youth was like a monarch of the evil path, controlling the situation with a single hand, defeating one overwhelming prodigy and intimidating the other with one move. What kind of method was this? The geniuses and experts all held their breaths. Many people couldn't help but think, what kind of arrow was this? After Yu Qianhao and the 5 overwhelming prodigies, another monster had appeared. In a short amount of time, Shi Chengtian and Goddess Bing Wei didn't move rashly. Shi Chengtian was injured and his battle power was greatly reduced, so he didn't have the heart to fight. Goddess Bing Wei had been struck by the lightning fire god's eye, and her mind was injured. She found that Shi Chengtian's battle power was greatly reduced and hesitated. At this point in time, Zhao Feng faced the two overwhelming prodigies confidently and had the aura of fighting one against two. Shameless bastard. Goddess Bing Wei's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent and anger. Ever since she had reached the overwhelming prodigy level, when had she lost face like this? She put out the thunderfire burn on her mind and secretly communicated with Shi Chengtian with her divine sense. I've lost. Shi Chengtian smiled bitterly and didn't have the heart to fight anymore. He even felt lucky that Zhao Feng didn't kill him. Shi Chengtian retreated. Only Goddess Bing Wei was left facing off against Zhao Feng. Her jade-like skin gave off a bone-chilling coldness. Chapter 371. In the air above the river, Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei met for the second time, and the aura of the true spirit realm in the air caused lightning to crackle and cold wind to howl. That shameless bastard. He made my sister miss the sacred true dragon gathering and secretly learned our mystic ice inheritance. Goddess Bing Wei's eyes flashed with coldness and unwillingness as her chest heaved up and down. Her snow-white skin glowed as she circulated her mystic ice, jade, charming body to the maximum, and a powerful aura of coldness enveloped 100-yard radius. This coldness reached the bone marrow and even had an effect similar to Zhao Feng's Eye of Ice Soul. Bloodline's secret technique has been activated and my defense has increased. My damaged skin has quickly recovered and the coldness has formed a domain. Zhao Feng's heart jumped as he found that Goddess Bing Wei's strength was hidden deeper than he had imagined. In just a few breaths, Goddess Bing Wei's skin was flawless and as smooth as glass. The only thing that couldn't be healed in a short amount of time was the damage to her mind. This is the power of the domain of ice. Using the bloodline's secret technique of the mystic ice, jade, charming body to freeze everything nearby. Even overwhelming prodigies of the same rank will be greatly slowed down. Mo Tianyi floated to the surface of the water and watched the battle. Before, when Zhao Feng defeated Shi Chengtian, he was shocked, but the process was short. Now that Zhao Feng was fighting Goddess Bing Wei again, Mo Tianyi wasn't worried. After all, Zhao Feng's bloodline countered Goddess Bing Wei, and the lightning fire gods, I Flame, also countered Goddess Bing Wei. The power of the domain of ice. If this technique was combined with Shi Chengtian's gravity domain, the effect would more than double. Zhao Feng thought and understood Goddess Bing Wei and Shi Chengtian's original plan. Once the domain of ice and the gravity domain was combined, even those at the True Lord rank would be restricted. No one in the sacred True Dragon Gathering would be able to counter it. Extreme Northern Mystic Ice Wind. Goddess Bing Wei sent out a berserk icy wind that swept across a mile radius, instantly freezing the river. Zhao Feng's blood and chi of true spirit froze. If he didn't have the corresponding bloodline power, Goddess Bing Wei would be a very troublesome opponent, and he would be on the defensive. Buzz. Behind Zhao Feng, an imposing, tall, and illusory figure of ice light appeared. The silhouette became clearer, including the frozen throne. Goddess Bing Wei's ice attacks were absorbed a lot when they got close. Zhao Feng's body was protected by a kind of cold energy that increased his defense, especially against ice-type attacks. Profound Ice Demon Suppression Mountain. Goddess Bing Wei let out a shout and quickly closed in. She waved her hand and shot out several giant ice mountains that smashed down from the sky. What is this Goddess Bing Wei planning? Zhao Feng was puzzled. With a wave of his hand, the two sources of true spirit in his body shattered the ice mountain with a few palms. Compared to before, Zhao Feng's fight with Goddess Bing Wei was much easier. Hushua. Goddess Bing Wei's eyes were cold as she closed in, and the domain of ice enveloped Zhao Feng. As Zhao Feng fell into the limitless domain of ice, the figure of ice enthroned behind him continued to absorb and convert the power of the ice. Although the domain of ice is strong, its effect is greatly reduced for me. Zhao Feng was puzzled. The domain of ice used extreme coldness to freeze all beings and objects within range. However, for Zhao Feng, the effect was reduced by 70%. Goddess Bing Wei was wasting her bloodline power. But soon, Zhao Feng felt something was wrong. Goddess Bing Wei kept on closing in, and the domain of ice was getting closer and closer to the core. This was because the core of the domain of ice was Goddess Bing Wei's mystic ice, jade, charming body. However, in close combat, Zhao Feng wasn't afraid of Goddess Bing Wei. Pung pung. The power of ice and lightning blossomed and clashed again and again. Zhao Feng became more and more courageous, and his chi of true spirit flowed more smoothly. Goddess Bing Wei couldn't gain any advantage in close combat. Zhao Feng indeed had the battle power of an overwhelming prodigy, and his bloodline countered her. Whether it was close combat or long range, he wasn't afraid. Of course, Zhao Feng's bloodline power couldn't do anything to Goddess Bing Wei. Goddess Bing Wei's mystic ice, jade, charming body's defense was extremely strong and was almost immune to normal ice attacks. Lightning Fire God's Eye. Zhao Feng used his bloodline power, and his eye flame wreaked havoc on Goddess Bing Wei. However, under the domain of ice, the Lightning Fire God's Eye's effect on Goddess Bing Wei was weakened. Furthermore, Goddess Bing Wei was constantly on guard against the Lightning Fire God's Eye and wasn't caught off guard like before. Zhao Feng's Lightning Fire God's Eye only did a small amount of damage to Goddess Bing Wei's mind. Goddess Bing Wei let out a muffled groan as she bit her snow-white teeth and took the attack head-on. There must be a scheme. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he found Goddess Bing Wei kept on fighting him. In close combat, the domain of ice did indeed affect Zhao Feng's speed. However, Zhao Feng found that Goddess Bing Wei's close combat abilities were very average. She didn't have Shi Chengtian's strength, nor his agility. Zhao Feng soon found a flaw in Goddess Bing Wei's battle. Ice Lightning Mystic Flower. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed as he sent a palm towards Goddess Bing Wei. Goddess Bing Wei's hands parted and her chest was exposed. Goddess Bing Wei's expression changed as she tried to dodge. Phew, but it was too late. Zhao Feng's palm landed near the chest of the girl with the snow-white skin. Zhao Feng felt something was wrong as he felt his palm hit Goddess Bing Wei's full chest. He instantly paused, and his face went slightly red. In terms of defense, Goddess Bing Wei's mystic ice, jade, charming body wasn't any weaker than Shi Chengtian's powerful body, not to mention the cushioning of her breasts. Furthermore, the mystic ice, jade, charming body was almost completely immune to ice attacks. Zhao Feng didn't even injure Goddess Bing Wei with this palm. Crap, I've been tricked. Zhao Feng realized the situation wasn't good. Goddess Bing Wei had purposely left a flaw for him. As expected, he saw Goddess Bing Wei reveal a mocking smile. He was just about to retreat when he saw Goddess Bing Wei's domain of ice reach its limit. A terrifying and fatal coldness approached Zhao Feng, and his blood almost froze as he shuddered. Not only that, as Goddess Bing Wei took the attack, she opened her arms and hugged Zhao Feng. Ah! Exclamations of surprise came from all over the place. The nearby spectators all had their mouths wide open as they stared dazedly. In the ancient arena, the various experts in the spectator area were all stunned, and their jaws almost dropped to the ground. That's right. Goddess Bing Wei hugged Zhao Feng tightly. If it was any other scene, people would think they were a couple in love. Hee, Zhao Feng's been tricked. The Mystic Ice Queen's lips curled into a smile. Zhao Feng stood still being hugged tightly by Goddess Bing Wei. A bone-chilling coldness spread throughout his body. Being hugged by such a beautiful ice beauty should be a blissful thing, but to Zhao Feng, it was like stepping into an endless abyss of ice. Limitless coldness sealed Zhao Feng's body. In the blink of an eye, a layer of ice formed on Zhao Feng's body, and the coldness tried to freeze his qi of true spirit and bloodline power. This Goddess Bing Wei is so shameless, using her chest to tempt me and freeze me. Zhao Feng's body froze and started to tremble. He hugged Goddess Bing Wei like this. First it was a warm and fragrant body, then it was endless cold and hard. The two were inches apart. Zhao Feng's mouth almost kissed Goddess Bing Wei's jade-like face. Goddess Bing Wei was like a goddess of ice, her mouth curled with cold, killing intent. In terms of ice mastery, apart from his bloodline power, Zhao Feng was more than a level lower than Goddess Bing Wei. At such a close distance, Zhao Feng's speed advantage was useless. It wasn't that Zhao Feng didn't want to struggle. Goddess Bing Wei's cultivation was 1 or 2 levels higher than his, and her qi of true spirit was pure. She also had a bloodline power and had cultivated the mystic ice jade charming body, so her body was stronger than his. Ice mastery was Goddess Bing Wei's domain, and she obviously suppressed Zhao Feng. Being hugged like this, Zhao Feng's body went stiff. His entire body was covered in ice, and he couldn't break free. CC. With visible speed, Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei's bodies started to turn into ice. Zhao Feng's body was completely sealed in ice, and Goddess Bing Wei's mystic ice jade charming body was like a crystal, and her movements weren't affected at all. In just a few breaths, everything within 100 yards was frozen, and even those at the true mystic rank couldn't get close. In the center of the snow and ice, a male and female ice statue hugged each other like a pair of immortals. Mo Tianyi, who was watching from the back, was dazed. Sure, Qing Tian sat dazedly nearby and felt a layer of ice spread over him. What was going on? The geniuses within 100 miles had their mouths open so wide that an apple could be stuffed in. What's going on? Why are the two of them sealed in ice? Goddess Bing Wei is so cunning. I knew she didn't have any good intentions. Taiyin Shuangzi, who was on the lone peak, stared at the frozen man and woman in shock. At the same time, in the eastern direction, the heaven-earth yuan qi in the air started to tremble. Wong boom! The air and earth seemed to tremble. Rainbow-colored clouds of heaven-earth yuan qi roiled around the river. Sister Yufei has broken through, Mo Tianyi exclaimed. A powerful true mystic rank aura appeared out of nowhere. Limitless yuan qi of the heaven-earth yuan qi formed a shocking scene. Only those at the true lord rank can summon the heaven-earth yuan qi. How is this possible? The experts in the ancient arena couldn't help but exclaim. In the air above Zhao Yufei's breakthrough, the heaven-earth yuan qi formed beautiful clouds as if it was being pampered by the heavens. What kind of bloodline is this? It's almost as powerful as the true lord rank when it reaches the true mystic rank. The 9 sovereigns all revealed expressions of shock. This scene could only be seen in legends, such as the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch, Sword Saint Yi Wuxia, or Yu Tianhao. At the same time, Wang, an enormous figure, appeared in the air above the ancient arena, and a powerful inheritance aura swept over. Chapter 372. The instant Zhao Yufei reached the true mystic rank, a new inheritance projection appeared in the ancient arena. This inheritance projection was shockingly large, and gave off a cold aura that suppressed the nearby inheritance projections. The inheritance projections that had already appeared were instantly pushed aside. Everyone focused their gazes and looked at the floating images in the sky. They saw that the palaces were like sparkling and translucent ice jade. They could only vaguely make out the outlines of the palaces that were covered in snow and ice. Mystic ice inheritance. The mystic ice, Queen exclaimed as she stared at the inheritance projection in joy. The mystic ice palace had guarded one of the entrances to the mystic ice inheritance and understood it extremely well. However, being one of the 4 great inheritances, the mystic ice inheritance obviously wasn't so simple to be controlled by a single force. The Mystic Ice Palace only controlled one of the entrances to the Mystic Ice inheritance. Only the sacred True Dragon Gathering could allow the main inheritance of the Mystic Ice inheritance to connect with the ancient arena. One of the 4 great inheritances, Mystic Ice inheritance. Haha! Ice cultivators are lucky. The ancient arena was in an uproar. Being one of the 4 great inheritances, the Mystic Ice inheritance only appeared once every 1,000 or even several thousand years. Once the Mystic Ice inheritance appeared, some of the lost ice path cultivation techniques, treasures, and natural treasures would appear on the continent, which could promote the development of the ice path cultivation on the continent. It could be said that the appearance of any one of the 4 great inheritances would greatly affect the fate of the continent. Amongst them, the Heaven's Legacy inheritance was the most ancient and mysterious. Every time it appeared, it would change the situation of the continent. This is the second of the 4 great inheritances. Unfortunately, the previous Scarlet Moon inheritance was taken by the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Sovereign Yu Tianhao sighed. The appearance of each inheritance isn't a coincidence. There must be geniuses that fit the requirements. The bronze-skinned giant's eyes turned towards the area of light. More accurately speaking, his eyes locked on a Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei, who were sealed in ice. It's probably Goddess Bing Wei's powerful bloodline and ice cultivation technique that resonates with the Mystic Ice inheritance. Adding on the fact that this generation's dragon blessing is so strong. Maybe it's related to Zhao Feng. His bloodline is also of the ice element, and it's a pure ancient bloodline. The venerables nodded in agreement. The appearance of the profound ice inheritance was naturally a good thing. The Sacred Alliance was overjoyed and had even greater expectations. After all, the Sacred True Dragon Gathering hadn't reached the end yet. Among the 9 venerables, there was a white-robed old Taoist with a sage-like demeanor. He had been silent all this time. He only took a quick glance at the profound ice inheritance. Most of his attention was on the scene of Zhao Yufei advancing. The 10,000 ancient races are the strongest bloodlines in the universe. Any one of these bloodlines is no less valuable than one of the 4 great inheritances. The white-robed old Taoist stared at him without moving. In his eyes, the bloodline phenomenon of Zhao Yufei reaching the true mystic rank was even more important than connecting to an inheritance. The white-robed old Taoist was Zhao Yufei's master, the supreme elder of the Heaven Yuan sect, and also a member of the Sacred Alliance. The white-robed Taoist didn't speak much about this sacred True Dragon Gathering. This was because he was carrying a big secret like Zhao Yufei, even if he had not confirmed it yet. Apart from the other Grand Elder of the Heaven Yuan sect, no one else knew this secret. At this moment in time, Zhao Yufei had reached the true mystic rank, and her bloodline was extremely shocking. Other sovereigns might sense it. Once the secret was confirmed and leaked, especially to the outer realms, it would be hard to predict the consequences of the white-robed Taoist priest. At the very least, the Heaven Yuan sect would not be able to control the situation. Therefore, the white-robed old Taoist was uneasy. Luckily, the appearance of the Mystic Ice inheritance shifted everyone's attention. Sovereign Baiyun, that Zhao Yufei seems to be your disciple. Her bloodline sign of reaching the true mystic rank isn't simple. The Green Moon Sovereign smiled faintly and noticed the white-robed old Taoist's nervous expression. The The white-robed old Taoist was Tao, Sovereign Baiyun, one of the 9 sovereigns present. So it's Tao, Sovereign Baiyun's disciple. Her bloodline talent is indeed strong. She might be another overwhelming prodigy comparable to Sword Saint Yi Wuxia. From the looks of it, this girl has reached the true mystic rank, and her bloodline power is at least close to that of an overwhelming prodigy. The sovereigns all congratulated her and praised her. Tao Sovereign Baiyun pretended to be worried. My disciple has reached the true mystic rank too quickly and might cause her foundation to be unstable. In reality, he knew clearly that Zhao Yufei's bloodline was innately compatible with the heaven-earth Yuan Qi, and her Qi of true spirit was extremely pure. In a light membrane space, near the river zone, colorful flowers of Yuan Qi bloomed one after another. It was a magnificent sight. The cave at the bottom of the river. Zhao Yufei's skin was as white as crystal jade, and it even appeared to be translucent. There was also a layer of faint, colorful light, like a flower bud that was about to bloom. Her pretty face was tranquil, and under the illumination of the faint, multicolored light, there was a kind of elegant and holy aura. With her, as the center, the heaven-earth Yuan Qi resonated with her. She felt that the heaven-earth Yuan Qi was extremely close, as if it was her mother. With every breath, she could easily summon the heaven-earth Yuan Qi. The resonance with the heaven-earth was 10 times stronger than normal true mystic ranks, and was comparable to the true lord rank. In a short while, her true force cultivation easily surpassed the initial stages of the true mystic rank and approached the early stages of the true mystic rank. After breaking through to the true mystic rank, she had stepped into a whole new world. Everything happened naturally. Luckily, she was hiding in the cave, and no one outside could see her actual situation. Of course, those at the true lord rank and sovereign rank would be able to see things from outside. This is an unprecedented cultivation bloodline. As long as one's mental energy level reaches a certain level, they can break through without any obstructions. The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord couldn't help but feel envious. This bloodline suddenly made him think of something. Could it be? That's impossible. The thought was rejected by the bronze-skinned man himself. The rainbow-colored clouds lingered near the river zone for a moment before the various phenomena slowly faded. Zhao Yufei seemed to find that her foundation wasn't strong enough, or else she would be able to reach the early stages of the true mystic rank in one go. If it was Zhao Feng with this bloodline, he would be able to reach the early stages or even the late stages of the true mystic rank in one go. However, there was no such thing as a perfect bloodline. Zhao Feng's bloodline leaned towards mental energy, and his mental energy level was unparalleled. On the other hand, Zhao Yufei leaned towards true force and Yuan Qi. Her true force cultivation increased by leaps and bounds, but her mental energy level couldn't keep up. In the river, in a world of ice and snow, Zhao Feng had turned into an ice statue and was hugged by Goddess Bingwei. Bastard, let's see how long you can last. In terms of cultivation and mastery of the ice Tao, you're far below me. Goddess Bingwei's skin turned into ice as she hugged Zhao Feng. The two maintained this hug for half the time it took to make tea. Goddess Bingwei's power of ice is still moving. This means that Zhao Feng hasn't been completely sealed in ice. Mo Tianyi didn't know what to do. He was going to save Zhao Feng, but Sister Yufei was also in seclusion. Senior brother, according to our agreement, Zhao Feng is in seclusion trying to break through to the true mystic rank and will protect him. Now that the agreement has been completed, whether we save him or not isn't part of the agreement. Furthermore, we can't get close to the depths of the ice. Probably only an overwhelming prodigy can change the situation. The yellow-faced man shook his head. Mo Tianyi was helpless, but could only do this. If Goddess Bingwei used her bloodline power of ice, normal true mystic ranks would most likely be frozen as well. This was especially so in the depths of the ice where normal true mystic ranks wouldn't be able to move. Under this situation, Mo Tianyi and company decided to put Sister Zhao Yufei's safety first. Zhao Feng was, after all, an outsider. Want to completely freeze me. Don't even think about it. In the center of the ice, although Zhao Feng's body was sealed in ice, his chi of true spirit didn't give up. As long as his mental energy consciousness was there, he could control his bloodline and chi of true spirit. His ice-attributed bloodline absorbed most of the ice and allowed his bloodline to continue. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had two sources of true spirit, one for himself and one for the Water Moon Pirate. In this dangerous situation, Zhao Feng tried to preserve his chi of true spirit and burn the Water Moon Pirate's chi of true spirit. In terms of grade, the Water Moon Pirate's chi of true spirit was still higher than Zhao Feng's. Under the burning of his chi of true spirit, Zhao Feng's resistance increased greatly. Of course, he could only burn a small amount of his chi of true spirit, or else his body wouldn't be able to handle it and might even explode. This brat's burning his chi of true spirit. Let's waste a bit of his energy and maybe he'll fall back to the true human rank. Goddess Bing Wei snickered coldly in her heart. At the edge of the ice-sealed area, Shi Qingtian sat on the ground and healed. Far away on the lone mountain, Taiyin Shuangzi's cunning eyes stared at the situation over here. Beat them all up. It's best if they're all crippled, and we'll kill them all at once. Taiyin Shuangzi's second brother had an expectant look. However, the battle between Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei lasted longer than expected. In the blink of an eye, almost an hour had passed. The battle between Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei had yet to be decided. In the end, she's still the overwhelming prodigy of several generations. It's all my fault for underestimating her and falling for her trap. Zhao Feng didn't dare burn a large amount of his chi of true spirit and didn't dare burn his source of true spirit. Because his body was sealed in ice, the burning chi of true spirit lacked an outlet and could only slowly wear it down with Goddess Bing Wei. Under this situation, it was a battle of endurance. Zhao Feng didn't need to worry, as he could give up the Water Moon Pirate's source of true spirit. Could Goddess Bing Wei do that? Brother Mo, Sister Yufei has broken through. Should we call her out to help? The yellow-faced man said. No need. She's just broken through and most likely won't be able to help. Mo Tianyi shook his head. At the same time, in a secluded valley in the light membrane space, your Xian Wang? The black-haired Yu Tianhao stared at the ordinary-looking man sitting cross-legged on the big rock across from him with his deep and spacious black eyes. Why did you chase me for so long? I'm not your match. You should know that no one is your match in the sacred true dragon gathering. Xian Wuheng shook his head and sighed. Chapter 373. You should know that no one is your match in the sacred true dragon gathering. Yu Tianhao didn't give up because of Xian Wuheng's words and instead revealed a surprised and solemn expression. He had a feeling that this ordinary-looking man in front of him had a unique insight, and it was very likely that he had seen through all of his weaknesses, which was why he said that. You have no path of retreat. Attack or give up the true dragon token. Yu Tianhao smiled arrogantly and floated on a rock opposite Xian Wuheng. Give up the true dragon token? Xian Wuheng sighed bitterly in his heart. This was something he couldn't do. The reason he was participating in the sacred true dragon gathering wasn't for the rankings, but for the greater fortune, the inheritances. The Heaven's legacy inheritance can't be missed. This is a chance to soar. Xian Wuheng's eyes twinkled. His true dragon token glowed with a golden light, and his ranking was around the top 10. He hadn't lost a single battle and had even beaten 2 or 3 experts of the first tier. A peak true human rank cultivation and such a strong dragon blessing. The person Zhao Feng recommended is indeed not simple. Yu Qianhao's aura quickly retracted. In an instant, Yu Qianhao's cultivation was suppressed to the peak true human rank. Obviously, he didn't want to take advantage of Xian Wuheng. You won't be my match like this, Xian Wuheng said expressionlessly. Hearing this, Yu Qianhao couldn't help but laugh. Arrogant. Ancient arena, on the base of the oval stage. The sovereigns, especially Yu Xingqian, watched the confrontation between Yu Tianhao and Xian Wuheng. Xian Wuheng was a very special black horse in this sacred true dragon gathering, just below Zhao Feng. Being the #1 genius of the continent, Yu Tianhao's every action was watched. Yu Tianhao's mental energy intent is comparable to the true lord rank. Even if his cultivation is suppressed, no one would be his match. However, this Xian Wuheng is very strange. His state of mind is very profound, and he vaguely has the air of a grandmaster. He's always defeated the strong with a lower cultivation base. The sovereigns were slightly interested, unparalleled under the heavens. Yu Tianhao made his move. With a wave of his hand, a beautiful aurora-like palm light tore through the air, imbued with an unparalleled will and conviction, looking down on everything. It was clearly a palm from a peak true human rank, but it had reached a level that shocked even those at the true mystic rank. Just that tyrannical and domineering willpower alone could instantly break through the enemy's willpower, shatter the void, and force back gods and ghosts. Limitless Palm. Xian Wuheng was unperturbed. With one hand behind his back, he slowly swept through the void with the other. A layer of palm energy rippled like water, colorless and translucent, without any obvious elemental orientation. 1. Yu Tianhao's move, which had swept through millions of geniuses, fell in front of Xian Wuheng. It was as if it had fallen into a swamp, infinitely slowing down and weakening. The first move, it was a simple and ordinary neutralization. It didn't have the huge might that he had imagined. Xian Wuheng stood where he was, his knees slightly bent, one hand behind his back, and the other extended. His black hair danced in the wind, giving him a strange demeanor, as if he was a martial arts master. The supremacies on the oval platform exclaimed in shock. He wasn't impatient and was extremely calm. Xian Wuheng gave off a calmness like water, as if he wasn't a youth, but a grandmaster. He didn't have peak talent or a powerful bloodline. With his mortal body, he was able to create lotuses with every step he took. He was able to compete with so many monstrous geniuses of this era. Interesting. Yu Tianhao's eyes burned with battle intent, and his will became stronger. He roared and stepped in front of Xian Wuheng in one step. Close combat. Xian Wuheng was expressionless with one hand behind his back. The other hand seemed fast yet slow, hard yet soft. Pa! Pa! In the blink of an eye, Xian Wuheng and Yu Tianhao exchanged a few palms. This time, Yu Tianhao's will had been ignited and his attacks became stronger. Even at the same cultivation, Xian Wuheng found it hard to fight head-on. After all, Yu Tianhao's unparalleled in the heavens was about dominating and suppressing everything. Such a powerful martial will, such a formless mental energy, it's beyond the level of intent cultivation techniques. Xian Wuheng's expression was solemn as he understood that his opponent this time was stronger than before. Swish! His footwork changed, and his palm technique combined with his movement technique. His body, palm technique, and comprehension merged into one. At that moment, Xian Wuheng gave off a feeling that he was attached to the heavens and earth, as if he had turned into nature and could contain everything. Yu Tianhao's powerful attacks were slowly dissolved by his movement technique. Boom! Boom! Pa! The two's close combat became more and more intense and dangerous. It was as if they were standing on a steel wire with a bottomless abyss below them. Many people on the spectator stand were dumbfounded and took a deep breath. What was even more amazing was that when the two fought, the stones under their feet didn't collapse, and only some footprints were left. From this, one could see how much control they had over their power. Shifting stars. Xian Wuheng's palm technique changed once again. With a push and a spin, the rippling palm energy pulled Yu Tianhao's attack away. This move is interesting. Yu Tianhao's figure swayed, and he was almost pulled away by Xian Wuheng's move. And this was only because of his profound mental state. If it were some other top geniuses, they might have fallen flat on their faces. Xian Wuheng didn't let go of this chance, and his palm, body, and comprehension seemed to merge into one as he slashed towards the right side of Yu Tianhao's abdomen. Each and every one of his moves and attacks drew all of his essence, energy, and spirit, not just attacking himself. Pung. This was the first time Yu Qianhao had been countered by Xian Wuheng and was forced back several steps. He's indeed not simple. Yu Qianhao's blood seemed to boil, and his battle intent became stronger. Gradually, his cultivation became stronger and stronger until it reached the true mystic rank. Xian Wuheng finally couldn't take it anymore and was forced back. There was a limit to pulling 1,000 kilograms with 4 ounces. Furthermore, his opponent's comprehension was profound, and his martial intent surpassed normal blade and sword intent. 10,000 origins return. Xian Wuheng was forced to free his hands. Water-like transparent ripples spun, combining strength and gentleness. When everyone looked closely, they could vaguely see the transparent ripple-like palm energy forming an illusory Tai Chi shape, unparalleled under the heavens. Yu Qianhao's unparalleled palm force, with the power to crush all living things, turned the hills within a radius of 100 feet into dust. However, as Xian Wuheng's hands moved, there seemed to be an invisible force field around him that sucked in all the power that came close. Using the cultivation of a peak true human rank to dissolve my early stage true mystic rank attack, Yu Qianhao was shocked. Of course, Xian Wuheng could only dissolve his attacks and wasn't a threat to Yu Qianhao, who had reached the true mystic rank. Furthermore, Xian Wuheng was using both hands for the first time. In the past, Xian Wuheng could defeat opponents of the same rank or a small rank higher with one hand. On the stage, the sovereign side at the battle between Xian Wuheng and Yu Qianhao. You should be able to see that Xian Wuheng has been hiding his cultivation ever since the Sacred True Dragon Gathering. His true cultivation is at the true mystic rank. What's weird is that he doesn't have a peak talent or bloodline. The bronze-skinned giant said, "This Xian Wuheng does indeed have secrets." Dao Sovereign Baiyan praised. Seeing everyone's attention move from Zhao Yufei to Xian Wuheng, he let out a breath. The feeling he gives me is that he has a lot of experience and a profound understanding. The way he uses the profound in some of his attacks is something that only we Primal Core realms can do. Yu Xingqian's eyebrows furrowed as he stared at Xian Wuheng. This Xian Wuheng was able to fight Yu Qianhao while suppressing his cultivation, even though the latter was only using the cultivation of the early stages of the true mystic rank. Let's say that a sovereign at the origin core realm has all the experience and comprehension from the consolidated realm to the origin core realm. If he starts cultivating from the beginning, even if he has no talent or bloodline, would he be mediocre? The Mystic Sword Sovereign gave an example. That's a good hypothesis. There's nothing absolute in the world. Although talent and bloodline is the king, it's not the only way. The key is fortune. Wasn't the Scarlet Moon Patriarch also average talent and no bloodline? The sovereigns all agreed. Looking through the history of the continent, there were exceptions like Xian Wuheng. Between the rivers, the frozen land was in a complete mess. Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei hugged each other and turned into ice. As time passed, Goddess Bing Wei was more and more surprised. The qi of true spirit within Zhao Feng's body was stronger than expected. It had already been an hour, and Zhao Feng had been burning his qi of true spirit. Although it was only a small amount, the burning of his qi of true spirit was extremely powerful and had a strong melting effect on ice. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's bloodline power continued to absorb Goddess Bing Wei's power of ice, and his bloodline seemed to become stronger. This bitch used such shameless methods to seal me in ice. Although Zhao Feng's life wasn't in danger, he still felt sullen. He couldn't bear being hugged by an ice woman for so long. However, his body was sealed in ice, and he didn't dare to burn his qi of true spirit in large amounts, much less his source of true spirit. Voila! Hoo-boom! Suddenly, an earth-shattering rumble came from the river behind them. The river water was suffused with a multicolored glow, and it shot 300 m into the air. A peerlessly beautiful young girl in a violet dress with lustrous snow-white skin floated in midair, and her silk sash fluttered in the air, causing her to be extremely beautiful. Yufei, how come you're out so fast? Mo Tianyi jumped up in fright. Where's brother Zhao Feng? Zhao Yufei's eyes flashed with a bright light. She suddenly sensed something and glanced towards the cold, ice sky snow region. At the center of the snow region, Zhao Feng and an ice goddess were hugging each other. That scene caused her heart to feel inexplicably downcast and cold. Let go of brother Zhao Feng. When she saw the situation clearly, coldness flashed in her eyes, and she turned into a rainbow light that charged towards the center of the snow region. Hu Wang, as Zhao Yufei flew, the sky was dyed with a layer of rainbow light. Many geniuses at the true spirit realm sensed this, and their hearts jumped. What a powerful aura! It's like a true lord rank that can summon the heaven-earth Yuan Qi. Goddess Bingwei, who was hugging Zhao Feng, tightly gritted her teeth, and the area around her started to glow with a cold blue light. The coldness of her domain of ice rose once more. Chapter 374. Goddess Bingwei sensed Zhao Yufei's arrival and used her mystic ice bloodline to increase the power of ice to a terrifying level. She was prepared to seal the person who came to save her in ice as well. It was because of this reason that Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man didn't dare to save Zhao Feng. Normal true mystic ranks wouldn't be able to move the center of ice and might even be affected by the coldness. Sister Yufei, watch out. Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man's expressions changed, but it was too late to stop her. In terms of speed, Zhao Yufei had already surpassed Mo Tianyi. In an instant, Zhao Yufei flew above the center of ice, and the coldness became stronger the closer she got. Even true mystic ranks would find it hard to reach the center of ice. Zhao Yufei's snow-white skin was sparkling, giving off a kind of translucent feeling. When the cold energy invaded her, it didn't freeze her or seal her in ice. Her body was surrounded by a rainbow glow that resonated with the heaven-earth Yuan Qi within a mile radius, and gave off the illusion that she was at the true lord rank. Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man could only watch as Zhao Yufei neared the center of ice. At this moment, although Zhao Yufei's bloodline was special and she had a half-spiritual body, a layer of frost still appeared on her body that intertwined with the rainbow glow. Break! Zhao Yufei shouted in a tender voice. Her jade-like hand emitted a sharp, multicolored light. Like a multicolored blade, it transformed into hundreds of phantoms and fiercely hacked on the ice layer. Boom! Boom! Cracks started to appear on the outer layer of the frozen region, and some places even exploded. What a strong power! Her every action resonates with the power of the heaven-earth. Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man were dazed. Zhao Yufei came out of seclusion, and her strength was unexpectedly strong. Although Zhao Yufei's cultivation was still at the early stages of the true human rank, her ability to resonate with the heaven-earth Yuan Qi was comparable to the true lord rank. Don't even think about it. Do you really think you can break through my ice seal? Goddess Bingwei's body released an even colder light, and the surrounding ice quickly healed. Wisps of icy wind and cold air howled as they rushed toward Zhao Yufei. Zhao Yufei cried out in surprise. She used her secret art to resist the backlash of shattering the icy wind. In terms of strength, Zhao Yufei was still slightly weaker than Goddess Bingwei, who was an overwhelming prodigy. However, Goddess Bingwei had forgotten one point. The frozen Zhao Feng was the sixth overwhelming prodigy in existence on the same level as her. She diverted her attention to deal with Zhao Yufei, giving Zhao Feng time to catch his breath. Taking advantage of this time, Zhao Feng burned some of his qi of true spirit to dissolve the ice, sealing cold energy in his body. Profound thunder explosion. The surface of Zhao Feng's body was covered in flower petals of lightning, and as they bloomed one after another, their power continued to surge. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening explosion erupted from the outside of the ice layer, successfully coordinating with Zhao Yufei's attack from the inside. At this moment in time, everyone within 100 miles could hear the sound of an iceberg collapsing. The surrounding ice started to crumble layer by layer. The terrifying, explosive power of the profound thunder explosion immediately hit Goddess Bingwei, who was hugging Zhao Feng. The distance was too close. Goddess Bingwei's body went numb and flew back dozens of yards as blood leaked from the corner of her mouth. Burning my chi of true spirit is indeed powerful. This mystic lightning explosion is a technique I created myself while I was sealed in ice by fusing the lightning inheritance, lightning mystic rock, and the profound essence of the mystic flower treasure book. Zhao Feng's figure turned into a chaotic wave of lightning that scorched the ground wherever he passed. He was like a god of destruction. The spectating, overwhelming prodigies, such as Shi, Qingtian, and Taiyin Xuanzi, were all shocked. The profound thunder explosion was after all used by burning his chi of true spirit, and its power was terrifying. Before, because Zhao Feng's body was sealed in ice, he lacked an outlet and didn't dare explode out of fear of injuring himself. "Brother Zhao, are you okay?" Zhao Yufei tried her best to dissolve the ice and lightning around her and met up with Zhao Feng. "Yufei, you've come at the right time." The two stood side by side, facing Goddess Bingwei in the air above the ruined river. "Lightning fire god's eye." Without saying a word, Zhao Feng sent out an eye flame that burned Goddess Bingwei's body. Goddess Bingwei felt a burning pain in her mind and circulated her mystic ice, jade, charming body to extinguish the lightning fire. "You bastard." Goddess Bingwei's face was slightly pale as she breathed rapidly. At this point in the battle, Goddess Bingwei had used all her methods and even used a hug to freeze an unfamiliar man, but she had still failed. Not only that, Goddess Bingwei had expended a lot of energy and the injury on her mind became bigger. An overwhelming prodigy and a quasi-overwhelming prodigy. "It'll be troublesome if I don't leave." Goddess Bingwei turned into a streak of cold light and escaped towards the west. Zhao Feng sent Goddess Bingwei off with his eyes, but didn't chase. He and Zhao Yufei had just broken through and hadn't consolidated their foundations, so they couldn't fight for long. Furthermore, Zhao Feng didn't have any confidence in keeping Goddess Bingwei here. The latter's ice bloodline and mystic ice, jade, charming body were hard to deal with. Zhao Feng's bloodline could absorb ice attacks, and Goddess Bingwei's bloodline had strong defense and was almost immune to normal ice attacks. It was Zhao Yufei's strength that surprised Zhao Feng. She had just broken through to the true mystic rank and already had the battle power of a quasi-overwhelming prodigy. In the middle of the river, only Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei were left standing shoulder to shoulder like a couple. Goddess Bingwei and Shi Qingtian had both retreated. Zhao Feng gazed in the direction the two had escaped in, and a playful smile appeared on his face. Goddess Bingwei had just escaped 100 miles when a rainbow-colored girl appeared on the lake in front of her, holding a 5-colored glass whip. Her skirt reached her knees and revealed half of her snow-white legs. Her eyes were pure and flawless. "Tantai Lanyue, what's the meaning of this?" Goddess Bingwei's expression changed faintly. "Hee. Goddess Bingwei, I haven't paid you back for ambushing me before." Tantai Lanyue waved the 5-colored glass whip, and a white mist appeared under her feet, covering 100 yards radius. Roar! A soul-shaking roar came from under the rainbow dress girl's feet, and an invisible aura made Goddess Bingwei's breathing stop. Inside the white mist was a crocodile-shaped earth dragon the size of a hill. It was covered in brownish-yellow scales and had a crystal-yellow horn on its head. Its bloody mouth was so deep that the bottom could not be seen. It was even bigger than an ordinary house. Compared to the colossal earth dragon beast, Tantan Lanyue was as small as an ant. However, she was the owner of this powerful horned earth dragon beast. "He horned. Let's beat the dog when it's down." Tantai Lanyue smiled innocently and waved the 5-colored glass whip as she stood on the horned earth dragon beast and attacked Tantai Lanyue. That momentum was like a small, moving mountain, rampaging and looking down on everything. Goddess Bingwei didn't have Yu Qianhao's battle power, nor Shi Chengtian's physical strength, so she didn't dare face it head-on and quickly retreated. At the same time, on the other side, dozens of miles away, Shi Qingtian's steps were slightly unstable, and he suddenly stopped in front of a hill. Shi Qingtian, we've been waiting for you for a long time. Taiyun Shuangzi laughed savagely as he held a blade and a sword and blocked Shi Qingtian's path. Shi Qingtian's forte wasn't speed, and his leg injury hadn't healed yet. It could be said he had no way out and could only fight. All of this fell into Zhao Feng's eyes. Goddess Bingwei and Shi Qingtian were ambushed and chased by other prodigies after being pushed back by Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng didn't feel any pity towards this. Not long after, Zhao Feng, Zhao Yufei, Mo Tianyi, and the yellow-faced man met up once again. Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man were slightly awkward. Before, when Zhao Feng was sealed in ice, they didn't dare to help, but it was Zhao Yufei who risked everything to save him. After the danger had been resolved, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei had both broken through. It could be said that everyone was happy. Zhao Yufei had just broken through and needed to consolidate her cultivation. Zhao Feng, on the other hand, didn't need to do that because his root of law and cultivation had been reached before he broke through. Brother Mo, you guys protect Yufei. I'll be right back. Zhao Feng threw out a sentence, and his figure shot through the air, leaving behind a blur of lightning. Zhao Feng wasn't chasing after Goddess Bingwei or Shi Qingtian. He came to a nearby peak and opened his god's spiritual eye to look at a valley far away. Within the valley, Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng moved their fists, palms, and legs simultaneously as they started a heart-shaking battle. The two's attacks were extremely focused, and within a radius of 100 yards, there were holes left behind. This Xian Wuheng has indeed hidden himself deeply. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye locked onto Xian Wuheng. Xian Wuheng's profound intent seemed to rely on the limitless power of the heaven and earth. His every action and every move was perfectly merged into one. Every move and stance was exquisite and used all of Xian Wuheng's power. The heaven-earth Yuan Qi nearby seemed to become his shield. His opponent, Yu Qianhao, was pure and extremely strong. His will of faith was like the formless power of the sword intent and the saber intent, which could cut through the void and scare away ghosts and gods. If Zhao Feng had to choose who was stronger, it would definitely be Yu Qianhao, who had unrivaled sacred true dragon gathering battle power. However, if one had to say who was more profound, it would definitely be Xian Wuheng. 10 moves, 50 moves, 100 moves. The pace of the two's battle was sometimes slow and sometimes fast, and gave people the feeling that time and space was twisting. The spectators, whether it was Zhao Feng or the spectators in the ancient arena, all felt their hearts shake. The difference was, Zhao Feng wasn't just standing there to watch. His god's spiritual eye was open to the extreme as he dissected. He copied the scene of some of the concepts and moves, comprehending them over and over again. Due to this, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye was circulated to the extreme in order to steal more things. At a certain moment, he suddenly had the feeling that his consciousness had jumped out of his body. Shua! Zhao Feng's view changed. He could see the battle between Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng from the clouds. Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng, who were fighting, vaguely sensed something as if a coal that was looking down at them from the 9 heavens. However, when he raised his head, he didn't feel anything. After 200 moves, the victor of the battle was decided. One of the figures flew out and sunk into the mountain. Chapter 375. Unparalleled under the heavens. The battle intent on Yu Qianhao's body shot into the sky as an all-powerful martial Dao will annihilated the gods and ghosts in the void, and it pushed out a palm strike that was extremely domineering and was like a gorgeous aurora. The ground faintly trembled while the clouds in the sky roiled and lost their color. At that instant, he seemed to become the only existence in the heavens and earth with a powerful will that looked down on everything. Star Passage. 10,000 Origins Return. Xian Wuheng had a solemn expression as he took a horse stance, and his hands drew a ripple in the air as he tried to absorb and redirect Yu Qianhao's palm. However, at the last moment, with the increase in his martial intent, Yu Qianhao's cultivation uncontrollably reached the late stages of the true mystic rank. Bam! Xi and Wuheng's body flew back into the mountain, causing dust to rise. I've lost. If you want the true dragon token, I can give it to you. Xi and Wuheng expressionlessly took out the true dragon token. In the barrier of light, winning or losing didn't mean you could take away the true dragon genius blessing. You had to take the true dragon token. The difference in cultivation, as well as Yu Qianhao's unique bloodline and unstoppable martial intent, meant there wasn't much suspense in this battle. You're only at the early stages of the true mystic rank, but you forced me to use the strength of the late stages of the true mystic rank to barely win. Yu Qianhao looked deeply at Xi and Wuheng, as if to remember the latter's appearance. However, Xi and Wuheng's appearance was too normal and had almost no special characteristics. On the other hand, his calm and unhurried temperament didn't match his age. Finally, Yu Qianhao didn't take Xi and Wuheng's true dragon token and flew away. In his heart, he didn't even win this battle and could even be said to have lost. Being the number one genius of the continent, Yu Qianhao had been surrounded by countless halos and had always stood at the peak of his generation. Although he didn't lose this battle, he still felt slightly defeated. Xi and Wuheng sent Yu Qianhao off with his eyes and shook his head. Not taking the true dragon token was within his expectations. Ancient arena on the base of the oval stage. Although Xi and Wuheng seemed to lose in the last move, he wasn't injured at all and dissipated all the power. The Green Moon Sovereign's face didn't hide her surprise. That's fine. Hao Er's path of cultivation has been too smooth. It's not a good thing that he has no opponents. Yu Xingqian's eyes flashed as he fell into deep thought. As his father, he even hoped that Yu Qianhao could temper himself more and meet more formidable opponents. However, Yu Qianhao's talent and comprehension were too shocking, leaving the geniuses of his generation far behind. In the past year, Yu Qianhao purposely didn't try to break through to the True Lord rank, or else this sacred True Dragon gathering wouldn't mean anything to him. On the peak, Zhao Feng's consciousness was in a mysterious state. It was like he had jumped out of the shackles of his physical body and was high in the clouds, watching the battle between Xi and Wuheng and Yu Qianhao. A similar feeling had appeared twice before. The first 2 times an eye of heaven appeared in the sky, it consumed a terrifying amount of mental energy. This time, Zhao Feng controlled himself a little. He only peeped, but did not deliberately exert any pressure. After the battle ended, Xi and Wuheng casually glanced at the sky. He appeared somewhat doubtful as he pondered. Yu Qianhao's battle power is indeed unrivaled. Even Xi and Wuheng lost. Zhao Feng comprehended the scenes in the dimension of his left eye. Yu Qianhao's undefeatable willpower surpassed normal sword and blade intent. Song Yuyue and Tian Yunji couldn't even take one hit in front of him. This power came from the heart, and Zhao Feng couldn't copy it. The god's spiritual eye's copying ability wasn't omnipotent and had its limits. Firstly, bloodline and elemental affinity. Some bloodline techniques were built on the bloodline, and even if Zhao Feng understood the theory, he wouldn't be able to use them. This was the biggest barrier. Secondly, the level of these techniques was too high, and Zhao Feng couldn't use them due to the limitations of his cultivation. For example, if Zhao Feng tried to comprehend the legendary Earth grade techniques, even those at the Origin Core realm would find it hard, let alone him. On the other hand, Xi and Wuheng's moves didn't have any obvious elemental affinity or bloodline requirements. After all, Xi and Wuheng's talent was average, and he didn't have a bloodline. However, his moves were extremely profound and didn't have much of a restriction on his cultivation. Star Passage Technique, 10,000 origins return to the origin and that special footwork intent. Every movement and every move draws the essence, aura, and soul of heaven and earth. A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face as he comprehended Xi and Wuheng's moves. In the end, he divided them into 3 different intents. The first, Star Passage Technique. It was an extremely profound technique that borrowed the power of gravity. The second, 10,000 origins return to the origin. It was even higher. using an invisible technique to absorb the power of the opponent's moves and even turn it into his own. The third, merging the essence, aura, and soul into one, becoming one with heaven and earth. The three intents were extremely profound, and each was more profound than the last. Only the first one could be copied by Zhao Feng immediately, which was the technique of borrowing the power of gravity. The second, 10,000 origins return to the origin, was more profound and involved Xi and Wuheng skills. Zhao Feng wasn't able to learn it immediately. The third one was even higher, and Zhao Feng found that it was how the root of law was used. Comprehending the third intent can increase the level of my root of law. Zhao Feng comprehended. This way, he focused on the third intent and merged the first into his own skill. The Lightning Inheritance and Mystic Flower Treasure Bible were top-tier inheritances and skills across the continent, but were only average in the sacred True Dragon Gathering. Zhao Feng had to keep on absorbing and strengthening his own skill in order to reach the peak of the continent. He thought that his experience was limited in creating a new skill, but if he combined the strengths of the other skills, he could try and have some success. After a short while, Zhao Feng returned to the cave. Zhao Yufei was consolidating her cultivation, and Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man were responsible for protecting her. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Zhao Feng absorbed the Star Passage technique and merged it into his own skill. After that, he focused on comprehending Xi and Wuheng's special intent of merging with the heaven and earth. Under this comprehension, Zhao Feng had to focus all of his mental energy and connect his root of law with the heaven and earth without any distractions. Essence, qi, and spirit became one. Every move and every stance drew upon the essence, qi, and spirit of the entire body, exploding forth with the strength of the entire body. This was mainly about movements and concepts, which were slightly easier to comprehend. Apart from simulating in his mind, Zhao Feng would occasionally stand up and move. Mo Tianyi and the yellow-faced man were surprised to find that Zhao Feng's steps had an intent similar to Xi and Wuheng's. Star Passage technique, merging his mental energy into one. Zhao Feng could basically do this. The merging of his mental energy into one ignited Zhao Feng's potential, and his senses reached a level that he couldn't reach normally. Zhao Feng felt his root of law's intent become clearer, and his ability to communicate with the heaven-earth yuan qi increased. The qi of true spirit within his body merged with his mental energy and circulated more smoothly. No wonder Xi and Wuheng's cultivation speed is so fast. Zhao Feng's mind was clear, and his mental energy was stronger than ever, increasing his connection with the heaven-earth yuan qi. In just half a day, Zhao Feng felt his mental energy level rise and his cultivation increase. At this point in time, his cultivation had completely consolidated and even surpassed most early-stage true mystic ranks, heading towards the early stages of the true mystic rank. The more he comprehended, the more Zhao Feng felt that Xi and Wuheng wasn't simple. Zhao Feng didn't believe that Xi and Wuheng learned all of this from the clan. Therefore, Zhao Feng asked Mo Tianyi. There's many rumors about this Xi and Wuheng. It is said that he has the ability to become a self-taught genius. He has never taken a master and can comprehend it himself. Or from some simple cultivation methods, he can cultivate astonishing moves. Mo Tianyi said after some thought. After all, before the sacred True Dragon Gathering, Xi and Wuheng was already a genius that shook the northern continent, just below Mo Tianyi and Xia Xinshang. Just as the two of them were conversing, shouts came from above the river zone. Chapter Leader Zhao. Chapter Leader, is he here? A male and female voice sounded from above. Zhao Feng raised his head and was slightly surprised as he returned to the air above the river. The two were Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi. The two of them had dejected looks on their faces. There wasn't the slightest hint of dragon providence on them. What's going on? Zhao Feng realized that he had forgotten about Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi from the Iron Blood religion. After asking, Zhao Feng found out that both Jiang Sanfeng and Lin Feng's true dragon tokens had been taken. A few days ago, The two teamed up, and as long as they didn't meet the geniuses of the first tier, they could pass. But 2 days ago, their luck was bad, and they were chased by Taiyin Shuangzi. Your true dragon tokens were all taken by Taiyin Shuangzi? Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. He had seen Taiyin Shuangzi's brutality before. As long as someone didn't obediently hand over their true dragon token, Taiyin Shuangzi would beat them to death. I almost lost my life. My right arm was broken. Jiang Sanfeng's face was full of humiliation. Only now did Zhao Feng realize that the upper half of his robe was empty. If we didn't find a new target, Taiyin Shuangzi might have beaten us to death, Dai Yi said with lingering fear. In this dimension, once a true dragon token was taken, it was hard to get another one back. As time passed, the number of true dragon tokens decreased, and the geniuses that obtained them were undoubtedly strong. The two teamed up but still couldn't last more than a few moves. Originally, the two were dispirited and gave up. But recently, he suddenly heard that the dimension had given birth to a sixth overwhelming prodigy, Zhao Feng. The two were overjoyed and came to find Zhao Feng. Don't worry, I'll help you get another true dragon token. Furthermore, there are too many overwhelming prodigies in this dimension. Zhao Feng's expression was cold, and his eyes were sharp. His blue hair moved without any wind. Dai Yi and Jiang Sanfeng were stunned. From Zhao Feng's tone, it seemed that he wanted to find trouble with Taiyin Shuangzi. Taiyin Shuangzi was famed for his savagery, cruelty, and cunning amongst the 5 overwhelming prodigies. Moreover, this pair of Siamese brothers could combine their swords and sabers to attack together. They could attack and defend at the same time, and it could be said to be perfect without any flaws. Chapter 376. After meeting up with Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi, Zhao Feng immediately left and split up with the 3 from the Heavenly Yuan clan. On the Heavenly Yuan clan's side, Zhao Yufei had the strength of a quasi-overwhelming prodigy, and Mo Tianyi was one of the first-tier geniuses. With these two here, even if an overwhelming prodigy came, they would be able to fight back. Zhao Feng led the way, and the golden figure of a dragon flashed in the air and could be sensed from far away. Run! The 6th overwhelming prodigy, Zhao Feng, has come out of seclusion. This Zhao Feng has heavily injured Shi Chengtian and Goddess Bingwei. His eye bloodline is unbeatable. On the way, chaos ensued, and the geniuses with the true dragon token either ran away or hid. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi followed Zhao Feng and clicked their tongues. Apart from being excited, they were also slightly complicated. Thinking about how they had been chased by the overwhelming prodigies and powerful geniuses before, they had to run away. But now, they had experienced the feeling of power, and seeing the peak geniuses of the continent run away made them extremely happy. Although they were using the tiger's name to intimidate others. This is the effect of strength. I didn't think that an overwhelming prodigy would appear in the Iron Blood religion. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi were extremely relaxed and didn't need to worry about being chased. On the way, Zhao Feng's group coincidentally met Prince Jin and a few others from the Canopy Great Country. Prince Jin saw Zhao Feng's overwhelming prodigy aura and was dazed for a moment before taking a deep breath and came to join Zhao Feng. If Zhao Feng was willing, he could take in a few lackeys. Leave, or else I won't rule out attacking you the next time we meet. Zhao Feng coldly rejected, and an indescribable mental energy pressure made it hard for Prince Jin and company to breathe. This was the sacred True Dragon gathering, and although there were no rules, he wasn't a Buddha who protected others. Prince Jin and the rest left dejectedly. However, this result was not unexpected. Zhao Feng did not seem to be a soft-hearted person. Division Master Zhao, your dragon luck aura is simply too strong. When those people saw you, they all ran far away. Dai Yi couldn't help but worry. As time went on, the number of true dragon tokens would decrease. It's simple. Zhao Feng waved his hand and had the little thieving cat come out. With Dai Yi and Jiang Sanfeng as bait, the little thieving cat as a sneak attack, and Zhao Feng in the distance with the Luoho bow. In fact, with Zhao Feng's speed, Even if those geniuses tried to escape, he could easily snatch a few true dragon tokens. However, he didn't want the two to easily obtain the true dragon token. An hour later, Zhao Feng didn't do much, and Dai Yi and Jiang Sanfeng each received a silver true dragon token with faint golden lines on it. After dealing with the two, Zhao Feng prepared to find trouble with Taiyun Xuangzi. Zhao Feng ordered Dai Yi and Jiang Sanfeng to stay within 20 miles of him. This way, the overwhelming prodigy's dragon blessing would make other geniuses not dare to come close. Division Master Zhao, that Taiyun Xuangzi is terrifying and not normal. Now that we've obtained the true dragon tokens, we don't need to be enemies with him. Jiang Sanfeng felt uneasy. After all, Zhao Feng was a newly born, overwhelming prodigy. Taiyun Xuangzi was a pair of brothers, and each had 80% of an overwhelming prodigy's battle power. Under the combination of sword and blade, they slightly surpassed normal, overwhelming prodigies. From the start of the sacred True Dragon Gathering until now, only Yu Tianhao and Taiyun Xuangzi hadn't lost a battle. Taiyun Xuangzi's sword and blade combined attack is indeed strong. In terms of offense, he might even surpass Shi Chengtian and Goddess Bingwei. I don't have much confidence in a head-on battle. Zhao Feng's expression was calm and collected. Hearing this, Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi instantly became uneasy. If Zhao Feng didn't have much confidence, why would he go find Taiyun Xuangzi? If something happened to Zhao Feng because of the two of them, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Of course, I'm talking about a head-on battle. In other people's eyes, Taiyun Xuangzi's sword and blade combined attack is perfect and flawless. However, I've grasped their flaws and have a chance to win in one move. Zhao Feng had a faint confidence. In the sacred True Dragon Gathering, only an overwhelming prodigy could deal with an overwhelming prodigy. After speaking, he opened his god's spiritual eye and searched for Taiyun Xuangzi's location. In a short while, Zhao Feng confirmed Taiyun Xuangzi's location. Let's go. Zhao Feng led the way. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi wanted to say something, but it was replaced by anticipation. On the way, a powerful golden dragon suddenly appeared in front of him, and it was even slightly stronger than Zhao Feng's. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi took a deep breath with nervous expressions. So, a jade Kirin flying fish appeared in the sky. It was about the size of a pond, and on it stood a beautiful girl in a colorful dress. She held a 5-colored glass whip in her hand, and the geniuses around her all retreated. In the space, once an overwhelming prodigy appeared, everyone would jump. However, what would happen when an overwhelming prodigy met an overwhelming prodigy? Under normal situations, overwhelming prodigies would be able to sense each other from far away. Under most situations, they wouldn't have a chance of winning and would purposely avoid each other. However, Zhao Feng locked onto Taiyun Xuangzi's direction and obviously didn't have any intentions of avoiding. It's him. Tantai Lanyue saw Zhao Feng from far away, and her pure eyes twinkled. Solemnness appeared on her face. Before, Tantai Lanyue and Zhao Feng had only met for a short while, but didn't fight. At that time, Zhao Feng only had the battle power of a quasi-overwhelming prodigy, and although Tantai Lanyue couldn't be ignored, he still looked down on her. However, Zhao Feng had fought against 2 overwhelming prodigies and injured Shi Chengtian before forcing back Goddess Bingwei, creating a new, overwhelming prodigy that couldn't be shaken. Tantai Lanyue had also paid attention to that battle. His eye bloodline leans towards mental energy. My spiritual level is high, so it could be said that I can restrain him. However, I'm afraid he'll attack my spiritual pet. Tantai Lanyue analyzed. Although she wasn't scared of Zhao Feng, she was still wary. The two of them showed no fear of each other. They watched as the 2 enormous luck dragons slowly approached each other, refusing to give way to each other. Not long after, Zhao Feng and Tantai Lanyue were 1 mile away from each other. This distance was enough for them to attack, especially Zhao Feng, who specialized in archery. Tantai Lanyue was already on her guard. However, Zhao Feng didn't even pay attention to her as he flew behind Tantai Lanyue. Tantai Lanyue was slightly surprised. She originally thought that Zhao Feng was here to cause trouble. After all, Tantai Lanue had disturbed Zhao Feng when he was in seclusion. Suddenly, the direction that Zhao Feng was aiming at made her think of something. If I'm not wrong, that direction should be Taiyun Shuangzi and Shi Qingtian. Tantai Lanue's crystal-like eyes spun as if she had guessed something. If she wasn't wrong, Zhao Feng had most likely locked onto an overwhelming prodigy. Thinking up to here, Tantai Lanue decided to watch from the back. Half the time it took to make tea later. A group of mountains appeared in front of them, and the earth elemental Yuan Qi was strong. There were two large auras of dragon blessing in this group of mountains. In the depths of the mountains, Taiyun Shuangzi held a sword and blade in his hand and laughed savagely as he slashed at a large stone ball at the bottom of a mountain. The large stone ball gave off a yellow glow as it sank into the mountain. Ding ding, pung pung. The sword and blade created sparks as they slashed at the large stone ball. Of the two large auras, one came from Taiyun Shuangzi and the other came from the large stone ball. Taking a closer look, the large stone ball was actually a person. It was curled up into a ball, and its surface was condensed with a layer of yellow earth crystals, forming a powerful defense. The large stone ball was embedded into the mountain and seemed to connect with the power of the earth, increasing its defense by several times. As expected of Shi Qingtian, he has the Stone Heart bloodline and has the strongest defense amongst the overwhelming prodigies. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh as he watched from afar. Shi Qingtian's defense was already terrifying and normal prodigies wouldn't be able to break through it. At this moment, he had used a secret technique to curl himself into a stone ball, and his body was almost petrified as he connected with the earth elemental energy in the mountain. Imperceptibly, his defense and recovery ability had greatly increased. If it wasn't for Zhao Feng crippling Shi Qingtian's leg and injuring his soul, Taiyun Shuangzi really wouldn't be able to do anything to Shi Qingtian. But Taiyun Shuangzi was cunning and struck while the iron was hot. He attacked Shi Qingtian and chased him all the way, forcing him into such a state. No matter how strong Shi Qingtian was, Taiyun Shuangzi couldn't escape his fate. Boss, there seems to be the aura of a prodigy. Not good, it's that brat. Does he want to take a share of our profits? Taiyun Shuangzi stopped and let out a breath. His cunning green bean eyes stared at Zhao Feng with a threatening intent. Normal, overwhelming prodigies would avoid conflict with Taiyun Shuangzi. This pair of brothers were cruel, and their attacks were violent. Normal, overwhelming prodigies wouldn't be able to handle them. Blue hair brat, you've come at the right time. Let's team up and take down this stone person. After that, we'll split his genius draconic providence 60-40. Taiyun Shuangzi's eyes spun as he thought of a plan. Analyzing the current situation, they couldn't start a conflict with Zhao Feng. They had already forced Shi Qingtian into a dangerous situation. If they fought with Zhao Feng, Shi Qingtian would definitely recover and launch a pincer attack. At that time, it wasn't easy to counterattack with two overwhelming prodigies at the same time. Seeing Zhao Feng come over, Shi Qingtian's stone ball immediately sunk into the depths of the mountain. Taiyun Shuangzi didn't mind and waited for Zhao Feng's reply. The heavily injured Shi Qingtian wouldn't be able to run far. This is the conversation between overwhelming prodigies? Taiyun Shuangzi doesn't dare to start a conflict with us, and even suggested working together. Behind them, Jiang Sanfeng and Dai, you were shocked to see this. Taiyun Shuangzi suggested working together and giving up 40% of the profits. From a certain point of view, this was a compromise and a recognition of Zhao Feng's strength. But who would have thought? Zhao Feng's expression darkened as his blue hair danced in the wind. You two ugly monsters think you're worthy of working together with me? My target isn't the stone person, but the filth of this world. One move is enough to deal with you. Chapter 377. My target isn't the stone man, but the filth of this world. One move is enough to deal with you. The blue-haired youth in his sight was cold and emotionless. These words were like a slap to the face. Taiyun Shuangzi, who was famed for his cruelty, paused and went into a daze. One move is enough? Where does this Zhao Feng get his confidence from? Tantan Lanue, who was secretly following from afar, had a powerful spiritual sense. She could clearly see the situation here and was surprised. Amongst the original 5 overwhelming prodigies, Taiyun Shuangzi, as a conjoined body, was extremely powerful, cruel, and bloodthirsty, vaguely had the tendency to be ranked second. Taiyun Shuangzi was one of the favorites for first in this sacred true dragon gathering and had a high chance of challenging Yu Tianhao. Shi Qingtian, who had entered the mountain, paused after hearing this. This Zhao Feng's tone is so arrogant. However, being someone who had lost to Zhao Feng, Shi Qingtian knew how terrifying the opponent was and was suspicious. He didn't run far and instead sat down to recover while paying attention to the situation. Defeat us in one move? Arrogant brat. Yaya. He doesn't put us brothers in his eyes at all. Taiyun Shuangzi roared as he gripped his sword and blade. His true spirit realm aura contained a killing intent that could scare gods and ghosts. Thinking back to when they had dominated the sacred true dragon gathering and slaughtered everyone, even overwhelming prodigies had to avoid them. When had they ever been looked down upon like this? One move was enough. This was an insult to one's dignity and was extremely disrespectful to an overwhelming prodigy, even if the opponent was also an overwhelming prodigy. Cruel, easily angered and self-centered. Zhao Feng stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the enraged Taiyun Shuangzi who was charging over. Boom! In an instant, the nearby mountains were sliced off and a small mountain was split into pieces. Sky Astral 9 Flame Blade. Earth Demon Ice Soul Sword. The blade and sword slashed out, and fire and ice intertwined. Everything within a mile radius turned into a death zone. The terrifying aura was enough to instantly kill normal true mystic ranks. The 2 top-notch cultivation techniques were of completely opposite attributes. When they worked together, their battle prowess was ranked among the top among the geniuses. Such a powerful battle strength. The fusion of sword and saber, the fusion of fire and cold, can be said to be perfect. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. In this situation, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage against Taiyun Shuangzi. Whoosh! He left behind an electric phantom in his original position, and a series of overlapping phantom shadows appeared in the void. Pew pew boom! Taiyun Shuangzi's first round of attacks missed and quickly locked onto a lone peak. Under the attack, only a stone pillar as thick as a person was left on the peak. Ugly monster! You were born together. You have no freedom, no privacy, and even your lives are bound together. How sorrowful it is for you to live in this world. Perhaps this is the reason why you are so extreme and bloodthirsty. Zhao Feng stood on the stone pillar with his hands behind his back. His face was full of mockery and pity. When he said this, Taiyun Shuangzi was startled for a moment. Then his eyes widened and his anger reached the extreme. Arg, brat, you're dead for sure. Yaya, this blue-haired brat dares to look down on us? People like this in the past were all cut into 10,000 pieces and devoured by us. Taiyun Shuangzi's killing intent and anger reached a peak. With one word, Zhao Feng touched Taiyun Shuangzi's reverse scale and the biggest grudge in their hearts. Although they had 2 minds, they were in the same body. They had no freedom, no privacy, and were looked down upon. Even the women they enjoyed were from the same body. It's actually very simple. As long as I kill one of you, the other will be able to be reborn. A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Kill one of them. The cruel and bloodthirsty Taiyun Shuangzi had obviously thought about this before. They were tired of this body and each other. However, they were also brothers and had a master. Eye of the heart. Zhao Feng's left eye seemed to extend infinitely as if it was drawing out a dream heaven. Taiyun Shuangzi, who was extremely angry, had lost his mind. When he saw Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye, his body and mind shook as he stood dazed on the spot. Next, Taiyun Shuangzi's 2 faces showed a slight struggle before it was replaced by savageness, viciousness, and a silly smile. Then, Their gazes turned and completely ignored Zhao Feng as they stared at each other. Boss, I've tolerated you for far too long these years. Help me, your little brother. I want to live alone. I want to be truly free. I don't want to enjoy women and have to share them with others. Taiyun's second brother's face twisted as his sword flashed and slashed towards Taiyun's first brother. Hee, I've already predicted that this day would come. Taiyun's first brother laughed cruelly as his blade gave off a bright light as it slashed towards Taiyun's second brother. Dang, 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 dang. Taiyun's big brother and Taiyun's second brother fought fiercely, refusing to give in to each other. It was a good show of fratricide. On the same body, the blade and sword clashed, causing sparks to fly. What was more amazing was that Taiyun Shuangzi shared the same body, and the two chi of true spirit are twined. In just a moment, the two fought fiercely, and within a 1-mile radius, the wind howled. Zhao Feng's figure was dim as he half hid on the lone stone pillar. His left eye stretched out and formed a beautiful color. The eye of the heart's power against those who don't have a firm will and have flaws in their hearts will increase by many folds. Zhao Feng stood on the lone stone pillar with his hands behind his back as he watched Taiyun Shuangzi kill each other. In terms of battle power, even Zhao Feng was wary of Taiyun Shuangzi. Even Goddess Bing Wei and Tantai Lanyue were wary of him. Taiyun Shuangzi combined his blade and sword together, and their battle power could be said to be perfect. Zhao Feng had to admit this point. He didn't have much confidence in a head-on battle, but sometimes winning didn't require a violent battle. There was a more elegant way. Taiyun Shuangzi had been affected by the environment and had a big flaw in his personality, which was hit by Zhao Feng in one move. Winning in one move wasn't just empty words. Zhao Feng didn't even need to make a move to make Taiyun Shuangzi kill each other and die together. Oh my God, what happened to Taiyun Shuangzi? Did he really get defeated by Zhao Feng in one move? Tantai Lanyue, who was chasing from behind, had shock written all over her face. One move is enough. This Zhao Feng didn't lie at all. Sure, Chang Tian, who was hiding in the mountain, took in a cold breath. Ding, ding, dang, dang, dang. The battle between Taiyun Shuangzi and Taiyun Shuang. The two's battle became fiercer and fiercer. Because the two had the same body, they tried to attack the other's head and arms. Taiyun Shuangzi's arm was slashed, and there were a few bloody marks on his face. One of Taiyun Shuangzi's ears was sliced off. At this point in time, the two were covered in blood, and their expressions were savage. Half an hour later, Taiyun Shuangzi's body was wobbling on the spot, and the two were in a stalemate. Xiao xiao. Suddenly, an electric saber light streaked across like a thunderbolt and disappeared from behind him. Not good. Taiyun Shuangzi and Taiyun Shuangzi both felt a chill as they understood the situation. But it was too late. Puchi. One of Taiyun Shuangzi's legs was sliced off and blood splattered everywhere. Plop. Taiyun Shuangzi, who had lost his balance, fell onto the ground with a face full of pain. There were dozens of wounds on his body, including internal injuries. Zhao Feng's lightning slash was also aimed at Taiyun Shuangzi's weakness. Because Taiyun Shuangzi only had 2 legs in the same body, losing one would greatly hinder his movements. Not good. We've been ambushed by this brat. Taiyun Shuangzi's face was full of regret. At this moment, Taiyun Shuangzi was heavily injured and had lost a leg. His battle power had decreased by more than half. Zhao Feng stood on the stone pillar, and a playful smile appeared on his face. His blue hair fluttered without any wind, and he was like a lord of the wicked path. Each of his words and actions put the opponent in dire straits. Run. Taiyun Shuangzi wasn't dumb, and he resisted the pain as he circulated his chi of true spirit and flew towards the mountain behind him. In their current state, they might not even be able to win against the peak experts of the first tier, let alone overwhelming prodigies. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's methods were mysterious and formless. Thinking about the situation just now, they couldn't help but shiver. Taiyun Shuangzi, accept your death. A powerful and resonant voice came from the mountain peak. Immediately after, a terrifying gravity descended on Taiyun Shuangzi's body. Sure, Qingtian. Taiyin Xuangzi screamed in fear as his body fell down. Crack! Sure, Qingtian broke through the mountain, and his giant body heavily stepped on Taiyin Xuangzi's body. Wah! Taiyin Xuangzi instantly spat out a mouthful of blood as his bones broke and his organs bled. Sure, Qingtian had the strongest body in the sacred True Dragon gathering, and the power of his stomp was terrifying. Furthermore, Sure Qingtian didn't plan on stopping and continued to step on Taiyin Xuangzi's body and steal his True Dragon token. Boom! Two dazzling golden luck dragons intertwined with each other in the sky. One of the golden dragons' aura was fading away. However, the overwhelming prodigy's True Dragon token contained an enormous amount of dragon blessing and couldn't be absorbed in a short amount of time. When it was half gone, Sure Qingtian reached out and threw the True Dragon token to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng didn't reject it and received the True Dragon token. There was still 60% of the dragon blessing left. You killed Taiyin Xuangzi, and your contribution is greater. I can't thank you enough. I owe you one. Sure Qingtian stepped on Taiyin Xuangzi's body and thanked Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had come to find trouble with Taiyin Xuangzi and had also saved Sure Qingtian's life. Sure Qingtian was the most honest amongst the 5 overwhelming prodigies and promised to owe Zhao Feng one. Wang, the golden dragon behind Zhao Feng's back, continued to expand. Taiyin Xuangzi's dragon blessing was extremely strong, and after absorbing 60%, Zhao Feng's dragon blessing had surpassed Goddess Bing Wei and Tantai Lan Wei. Crack! Sure Qingtian suddenly used strength and crushed Taiyin Xuangzi's body. Taiyin Xuangzi let out a last scream and died. An overwhelming prodigy had fallen. Tantai Lan Yue, who was watching nearby, couldn't help but take a cold breath as her face went slightly white. Her expression was solemn and fearful. She looked at the blue-haired youth standing on the stone pillar on the lonely peak again. Taiyin Xuangzi's death didn't cause any change in Zhao Feng, and he murmured emotionlessly, "It's better to die in Sure Qingtian's hands." Chapter 378. Ancient Colosseum. In the spectator stands, more than 100,000 experts from all over the continent were watching the scene in front of them. From the sacred True Dragon gathering until now, the overwhelming prodigy's name had never been shaken. Who would have thought that an overwhelming prodigy would die in this sacred True Dragon gathering, and it was Taiyin Xuangzi who was extremely strong. Until the appearance of the Black Horse, Zhao Feng, everything became possible. He first fought to a draw with Goddess Bing Wei and shook the overwhelming prodigy's position for the first time before injuring an overwhelming prodigy and becoming the new overwhelming prodigy. Even now, Taiyin Xuangzi's death had a lot to do with him. Although Sure Qingtian had personally killed Taiyin Xuangzi, most people's focus was on the blue-haired youth standing on the stone pillar. Zhao Feng had forced Taiyin Xuangzi into desperate straits just by using the weakness in his heart. Seeing Taiyin Xuangzi be stomped to death, Zhao Feng's face was expressionless and cold. At this point in time, his dragon blessing had reached the overwhelming prodigy level and was around the same as Sure Qingtian, but surpassed Tantan Lan Yue and Goddess Bing Wei. Although Taiyin Xuangzi's battle power is strong, his mental energy level is the lowest amongst the 5 overwhelming prodigies. This is especially true for the flaw in his personality. Using the eye of the heart is perfect for this. Zhao Feng started to think about the 4-eye techniques he had comprehended. Eye of Illusion uses mental energy to trap the enemy and doesn't have any direct attack power. Eye of the Heart attacks the weakness of the enemy's mind and can even control those with weaker mental energy levels. Eye of Ice Soul uses the power of the Ice Soul to freeze the enemy's consciousness. Eye of Lightning Fire uses the flame of true spirit in one's body to merge with the power of the god's spiritual eye to attack the physical and mental energy world. The 4-eye bloodlines didn't have an absolute strength. In terms of offense, the Eye of Lightning Fire was obviously the strongest, but sometimes it wasn't as good as the other eye techniques. For example, when he was fighting against Sure Qingtian, he had used the Eye of Ice Soul to continuously lock on his Sure Qingtian. If he had used the lightning fire god's eye, it would have been a waste of effort. For example, against Taiyun Shuangzi, there was an obvious flaw in his personality. In a situation where their mental energy levels were about the same, Zhao Feng used the eye of the heart and won in one move, without any effort. The four-eye secret arts are enough for me to deal with most opponents, unless the opponent's realm or strength far surpasses mine. Zhao Feng had a development outline in his mind. On the oval platform, the 9 sovereigns could only watch as Taiyun Shuangzi died, unable to do anything. The sacred True Dragon gathering had already been started by the ancient arena. What a pity! If such a monstrous talent advanced to the primal core realm in the future, his strength would be immeasurable. Since the beginning of time, there hasn't been a single conjoined brother venerable. A venerable couldn't help but say regretfully, an unparalleled prodigy would normally only appear once every few generations. Even though Taiyun Shuangzi was cruel and bloodthirsty, his death still made the venerable sigh. If Taiyun Shuangzi doesn't get rid of the flaw in his personality, it won't be easy for him to become a sovereign. This brat will most likely walk the path of slaughter. Yu Xingqian shook his head faintly. Strength was one aspect, but sometimes one's temperament, willpower, and other aspects were even more important than strength itself in the process of cultivation. Experts needed the heart of an expert to be able to control the power of an expert. This was the relationship between cultivation and mental state. Therefore, cultivation was also a process of cultivating the heart. In terms of personality, there are 3 people in the sacred True Dragon gathering that have almost no flaws. The bronze-skinned, giant deputy palace lord said slowly. Which 3? Yu Qianhao has unparalleled conviction and confidence. Xian Wuheng is as calm as water. Lastly, there's Zhao Feng. His mental state has always been calm and unyielding even at the most dangerous moment. That's right. These 3 have their own styles and are all perfect. The sovereigns all nodded their heads. If a person had the mentality of an expert, they would become an expert sooner or later. This was probably something that even Zhao Feng didn't expect. The god's spiritual eyes transformation didn't just change his body, it also changed his heart. Of the 3 the deputy palace lord mentioned, Yu Qianhao and Zhao Feng were both overwhelming prodigies, and their battle power was ranked near the top. Xian Wuheng was at least a quasi-overwhelming prodigy, and might even be able to fight against normal overwhelming prodigies. Within the barrier of light, with the death of the older generation, new overwhelming prodigies would naturally take their place. There were still 5 overwhelming prodigies: Yu Qianhao, Shi Changtian, Zhao Feng, Tantan Lanyue, and Goddess Bingwei. Amongst them, Yu Qianhao's dragon blessing was still number 1. Next was Shi Changtian and Zhao Feng, who were on par. The one with the lowest dragon blessing was Goddess Bingwei. A portion of it had been taken by Zhao Feng in the first round. Zhao Feng, you've saved my life, so I owe you one. This stone-hard jade pendant is a treasure of the Shi family, and I'll leave it with you for now. If you need help one day, you can come find me at the Shi family. Shi Changtian solemnly handed a seemingly cheap jade pendant to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng took the stone-hard jade pendant and found that his sense of the earth yuan qi had increased by quite a bit, and there were other uses for it. The value of this item was probably close to a high-grade spiritual-grade weapon. Zhao Feng didn't reject such a good thing. That's good too. When I return to the 13 countries, I'll need help to change the situation of the cloud area. Zhao Feng thought. After saying goodbye to Shi Qingtian, Zhao Feng met up with Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi still had shock on their faces. Before they had left to find trouble with Taiyun Shuangzi, they were feeling uneasy. However, Zhao Feng had forced Taiyun Shuangzi to the point of no return with just one move. It's good that Taiyun Shuangzi is dead. Many people were killed by him in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Jiang Sanfeng and Dai Yi's hatred was vented. Before they had almost been killed by Taiyun Shuangzi because they didn't hand over their True Dragon token. After dealing with Taiyun Shuangzi, Zhao Feng and company returned to the river zone and met up with the Heavenly Yuan clan. Zhao Yufei was still consolidating her cultivation, and Mo Tianyi and Dai Yi were responsible for protecting her. At this point in time, Mo Tianyi and Dai Yi still didn't know of Taiyin Shuangzi's death, and when they heard the truth, their hearts shook. For the next 2 days, Zhao Feng and company didn't purposely go out to find their targets. All of them had a true dragon token, and their dragon blessing was strong. Of the 5 overwhelming prodigies, Yu Qianhao occasionally went out. Shi Chengtian was recovering. Tantai Lanyue was also resting and letting her spiritual pets rest. Zhao Feng was comprehending the battle between Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuhan. Only Goddess Bing Wei often went out to find Genius Dragon Blessing to strengthen her own. However, the 5 overwhelming prodigies had a large amount of dragon blessing, and the amount of true dragon tokens they obtained wasn't much. This was also the reason why Zhao Feng stopped moving. He sat cross-legged and closed his eyes as he comprehended the intents contained in the battle scenes in the dimension of his left eye. Revolving star passage. Mental energy and mental vitality becoming one. One with heaven and earth. Zhao Feng comprehended the basics of revolving star passage. This intent was especially compatible with the Mystic Flower Treasure Bible. Comprehending revolving star passage would increase Zhao Feng's ability to protect himself against the strong. On the other hand, the fusion of mental energy, and consciousness, becoming one with nature, could not only stimulate one's potential to an even greater degree, but it could also increase Zhao Feng's mental energy level and root of law. Mental energy, and mental vitality becoming one meant that Zhao Feng had basically entered the Tao. One with heaven and earth had touched upon the threshold, and under comprehension, his usage of the power of lightning became more profound. The first day, Zhao Feng comprehended mental energy, and mental energy becoming one with heaven and earth, and felt that his potential and mental energy level had increased. The second day, Zhao Feng once again comprehended the lightning inheritance and successfully reached the 3rd floor. According to the requirements of the lightning inheritance, one needs to be at the true Lord rank to start cultivating. Now I've succeeded. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. The 3rd floor of the lightning inheritance required one to be one with heaven and earth and lightning. Because Zhao Feng had comprehended mental energy, and mental energy becoming one with heaven and earth, he was able to cultivate the lightning inheritance. The 3rd floor. The 3rd floor of the lightning inheritance allowed one's every action to control the heaven and earth lightning yuan qi to reach a whole new level. Although Zhao Feng's cultivation had increased and was comparable to the late stages of the true mystic rank, it was still hard for him to use the 3rd floor of the lightning inheritance. Just what level has Xian Wuheng's concept reached? If it wasn't for the fact that his talent is average and he doesn't have a bloodline, his cultivation would probably be far from the early stages of the true mystic rank. Zhao Feng couldn't help but guess. Before, Zhao Feng's talent was also average, but after obtaining the God's spiritual eye, everything changed. Zhao Feng had personally experienced the slow cultivation speed of those mediocre bodies. Time passed by quickly. The 7th day in the light dimension. The number of true dragon tokens in the dimension kept on decreasing. Some geniuses without a true dragon token counterattacked again, and even formed an alliance to move together. The battle was extremely intense. However, the battle didn't affect the overwhelming prodigies. Once one reached the overwhelming prodigy level, their strength would be close to the true Lord rank, and normal numbers wouldn't have any meaning. Therefore, Zhao Feng and company were quiet. Until one day, the number of true dragon tokens in the light dimension had decreased to 100. Wang, the membrane of light, trembled slightly, and a huge amount of genius dragon providence was gathered. One could faintly hear the roar of 100 dragons. In the ancient arena, from the oval platform high up in the sky, one could see the silhouettes of 100 dragons soaring in the air. The 5 strongest dragons grew to more than 3 meters in length, forming a powerful image of dragon luck. The dragon luck aura lingered in the surrounding dozens of miles. Apart from that, There were also 5 quasi-overwhelming prodigies whose dragon blessings were all golden, but under 1 yard. Schwa, schwa, schwa. The remaining several hundred geniuses without a true dragon token suddenly disappeared from the light dimension and were teleported out. The remaining 100 were the top 100 of the sacred True Dragon Gathering and famous True Dragon geniuses. Chapter 379. The number of True Dragon geniuses in each sacred True Dragon Gathering was exactly 100. To be called a True Dragon genius wasn't just an honor. It also had a practical use, an inheritance. Only the True Dragon geniuses, the strongest geniuses of the heaven and earth, had the right to enter an inheritance connected to the continent. Therefore, the True Dragon Top 100 was a huge dividing line. The geniuses that came to participate all hoped to enter the True Dragon Top 100 and become a True Dragon genius. Unfortunately, it was extremely difficult to achieve this. After all, there were several thousand geniuses participating in the sacred True Dragon Gathering at the start. How intense would the competition be? Schwa, schwa, schwa. In a light membrane, the eliminated geniuses were teleported away one by one. Finally, only the True Dragon Top 100 and the 100 True Dragon geniuses remained. They were the true favorites of the continent, the true dragons amongst geniuses. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and saw that the number of geniuses from the northern continent that had entered the True Dragon Top 100 had exceeded 20, reaching 27 to 28. The east, west, south, north, and middle continents had a total of 100 spots. On average, each side had 20 spots. From this, it seemed that the northern continent's results this time far surpassed the previous 10. Zhao Feng knew quite a few people such as Exine Wang, Zhao Yufei, Mo Qianni, Lu Qinxin, Song Yue, Prince Jin, Wang Xiaoguai, Jiang Sanfeng, etc. The regretful thing was that Bei Mua wasn't fated to enter the top 100. He hadn't even passed the first round, and it would be hard for Zhao Feng to take care of him. After the True Dragon Top 100 was chosen, the ancient arena started to change. Schwa. The light in the enormous ancient arena started to shrink and was replaced by pitch black. What's going on? The 100,000 experts on the spectating stand were shocked and broke out into chaos. The entire ancient arena was pitch black. Only inside the light membrane space it was bright. The light in the light shook and the ground gave off a slight boom. Immediately following that, at the top of the light membrane space, the clouds in the sky could be seen. There was a feeling of enlightenment, as if the clouds had parted to reveal the blue sky. From this angle, not only could he see the inheritance projection above the ancient arena, but he could also see the towering and majestic stone statue mountains in the surroundings. Can I interfere with the competition? On the oval platform, a supremacy reminded in a low voice. No, the barrier of the light space will reject those without true dragon providence. The white-bearded venerable shook his head and said after testing the waters. From the second round onwards, the Sacred Alliance lost control of the sacred True Dragon Gathering. There were pros and cons to this situation. The good thing was that no one would interfere and the sacred True Dragon Gathering would be more fair. The downside was that it would cause a lot of casualties. For example, an overwhelming prodigy had died in this sacred True Dragon Gathering. This was something that had never happened in dozens of eras. Where will the ancient arena take the sacred True Dragon Gathering? The deputy temple master, the bronze-skinned giant, murmured to himself with anticipation in his eyes. BZZ. The membrane of light formed by the space field formation slowly rose into the air above the pitch-black ancient arena. Could it be? Sovereign Yuxingxin's eyes flashed. The enormous, shimmering space slowly approached the inheritance projection in the sky above the clouds. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged on the ground and found that the membrane around him was dimming. The earth and mountains were slowly shrinking. In his vision, the inheritances from the outside world were getting closer. Through the scryer recordings in the sky, one could see the scenery of the outer realms, including pavilions and palaces of various styles. There were even some races from the outer realms that one had never seen before, even though the scryer recordings were a bit blurry. Mystic Ice Inheritance. Goddess Bingwei stared at the strongest inheritance projection above her head and was overjoyed. From the start of the sacred True Dragon Gathering until now, close to 10 inheritance projections had descended, and the Mystic Ice Inheritance's aura was the strongest. The appearance of the Mystic Ice Inheritance was good news for those that cultivated the Tao of Ice. Goddess Bingwei was the strongest genius of the sacred True Dragon Gathering and had entered a sub-inheritance of the Mystic Ice Inheritance before. At this point in time, Goddess Bingwei's bloodline and chi of true spirit seemed to resonate with the Mystic Ice Inheritance. Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye and bloodline also resonated. After all, his bloodline was leaning towards the ice element. Looks like the Mystic Ice Inheritance is more suitable for me, Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. The 4 great inheritances were all famous in the heavens and earth, and each one was very strong. Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng decided to consider the Mystic Ice Inheritance. However, he was also suspicious as he cultivated the Tao of lightning and the Tao of the soul. As for the element of ice, Zhao Feng wasn't sure if his god spiritual eye would continue to evolve into another element. It seemed that choosing the Mystic Ice Inheritance would be risky. Now's not the time to think about this. Every sacred True Dragon Gathering has 3 parts. There should be one last part. Zhao Feng retracted his thoughts. Soon after, within the spatial zone array, the light barrier disappeared. In the pitch-black ancient arena, near the clouds and the sky, a huge real-life arena appeared. The reason why it was real was because the new stage retained the original terrain, but was smaller. From afar, it looked like a floating island. Floating arena. The hearts of the 100,000 experts and geniuses in the spectating stands shook. From the start of the sacred True Dragon Gathering until now, the ancient arena had undergone a drastic change. At this point in time, it was a pitch-black world surrounded by mountains of stone statues. The statues of ancient mighty beings seemed to be gazing at the arena spiritually. Above his head was the floating arena where everyone's attention was focused. Above the floating arena were the projections of some inheritances from the outer realms. The scene in front of them pushed the sacred True Dragon Gathering to the peak. The 100 True Dragon Geniuses spread out across the floating arena and looked up at the weird scryer images above their heads. The last part is even more different than before. In the previous years, the third segment would determine the True Dragon Top 100. They would fight for first place, top 3, top 10, and so on. The sovereigns on the stage looked at each other. Is there no rules again? These are all true dragon geniuses, 1 in a billion prodigies. The sounds of discussion were endless. The entire ancient arena was pitch black, and only the floating arena, stone statues, and inheritance projections could be seen with the naked eye. Among them, the light from the floating arena was the brightest. The stone statues were slightly dim and glowed weirdly. The inheritance projections were faintly discernible. Just as everyone was guessing and thinking, another change occurred. Rumble. The stone statue mountains surrounding the ancient Colosseum began to tremble slightly and visibly. What's going on? In the primordial Colosseum, the 100,000 spectators were shocked. Suddenly, among the many stone statues, a god statue that was almost 300 meters tall suddenly shone with a strange light. The stone statue was that of a giant ape with 3 heads and 6 arms. At this moment, it seemed as if it had come to life. It was vivid and lifelike, and it emanated an ancient aura that could reach the heavens and the earth. Woo! A deep roar came from the ape statue, and even sovereigns at the Origin Core realm felt pressured. Shwa! The nearly 300-meter-tall ape statue projected a huge ape phantom and entered the floating arena with a whoosh. What a powerful aura! These stone statues are indeed not simple and contain a mysterious power. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I sense the ape figure. Shwa! The ape figure landed on the head of an average-looking youth in the True Dragon Top 100. Wang Xiaowai, the genius from the canopy great country, exclaimed. The True Dragon token in Wang Xiaowai's hand turned into a powerful aura of a true dragon and entered the ape figure's body. Finally, the True Spirit token cracked, and all the dragon blessing was devoured by the ape figure. After devouring the dragon blessing, the ape figure's figure became even more distinct and attached to Wang Xiaowai's body. Roar! Wang Xiaowai roared excitedly and beat his chest as if he had been possessed by a demon king. His battle intent rose, and his eyes were filled with comprehension. At this moment in time, the aura radiating from Wang Xiaowai made the hearts of the other true dragon geniuses jump and feel an unknown pressure. This is the power of an ancient expert. Heavens! The legends are actually true. These stone statues contain the willpower of some almighty beings, and even some ancient gods. The sovereigns on the stage were stunned and looked at this scene in disbelief. With the addition of the ape figure, Wang Xiaowai's battle power rose dramatically, and his bloodline was further stimulated as he gave off a terrifying aura. Bam! Wang Xiaowai waved the gold and silver stick in his hand and sent the nearby true dragon geniuses flying and spitting out blood. How is this possible? The expressions of these true dragon geniuses changed dramatically. Wang Xiaowai's rank and strength were ranked towards the back of the True Dragon Top 100. The nearby true dragon geniuses that had previously crushed Wang Xiaowai were all sent flying with one stick. Among the stone statue mountains, two more god statues projected huge phantoms. One was a black-armored ancient god overlooking the heavens, and the other was a giant demon spirit with a human body and the tail of a snake. Shua! Shua! Two gigantic, illusory images of god statues entered the floating arena. The geniuses of the True Dragon Top 100 instantly revealed expectant expressions. The power of this gigantic figure represented the favor of the ancient era's supreme being. Using the power of transcending space, it descended to the ancient Colosseum and possessed the geniuses chosen. It didn't take long for two geniuses to receive the favor of the giant shadow in the stone statue and obtain the ability to transcend space. Their strength increased by more than twofold. At the same time, on the stone statue mountains, many large statues gave off a bright light and started to murmur, roar and roar. All sorts of mysterious powers flashed across the ancient arena. In just a while, almost 10 figures of different shapes and sizes descended upon some of the geniuses. Among them, the phantom of a fairy holding a zither was more than 1,000 feet tall. It landed on Lu Qinxin. The latter closed her eyes, and ancient melodious music seemed to ring in her ears. The descent of the power of transferring across space made almost any genius strength rise dramatically in a short amount of time and reach the level of an overwhelming prodigy. Zhao Feng suddenly sensed something. Amidst the stone statue mountains, there were a few tall and majestic divine statues. They shone brilliantly, their eyes flickering as they stared at him. These god statues were at least 100 yards tall and were much stronger than the previous ones. They seemed to be expectant and tried to communicate with Zhao Feng for his response. Chapter 380. The sacred True Dragon Gathering was about to welcome its most glorious moment. The mysterious ancient arena, under the stimulation of a large amount of dragon blessing and mental energy battle intent, created an incredible power. The ancient mystery, the battle of legends, might pass through time and space and continue into this great era where geniuses were as numerous as the stars. On the stage, the hearts of the 9 sovereigns shook as excitement and shock appeared in their eyes. At this point in time, they looked up at the stone statue mountains around the ancient arena with reverence. Towering stone statues stood one after another, with the shortest being dozens of feet tall and the tallest being hundreds of feet tall. Every stone statue was vivid and lifelike, majestic and majestic. They were in the shapes of beasts, humans, aliens, and all kinds of oddities. They contained an invisible energy that came from the ancient times, as if there were gods, devils, demons, and ghosts watching every move on the ancient stage. The 10 tallest sky stone statues were hundreds of yards tall, and some were even close to 1,000 yards tall. They seemed to stand side by side with the heavens and earth, and had different expressions. Some were domineering, some were calm, and some had wicked smiles. They seemed to represent the glory of a lost legend. These tens of thousands of ancient stone statues piled up to form a boundless stone statue mountain range that surrounded the ancient Colosseum, striking one's mind and vision. Some of these stone statues are ancient experts, and some are gods from the ancient era. Their owners might still be alive, but most of them are dead. However, their mental energy and intent are still in the heavens and earth. The divine abilities of those great powers from the ancient times were truly deep and immeasurable. They were formless and inextinguishable, and through the layout of the ancient arena, they crossed through space and arrived. The sovereigns were filled with respect from the bottom of their hearts. Each of the stone statues in the Stone Statue Mountain Range represented a once glorious legend. At this point in time, of the many stone statues, there were around 100 that were slightly brighter. However, the top 10 sky stone statues were still dim and didn't have much of a reaction. Those 10 sky-raising stone statues should have originated from the primordial era. Perhaps they were the gods of the primordial era. However, after the ancient war, the desolate continent shattered and created a storm that ended the ancient era of gods. Sovereign Yu Xingqian stared at the 10 sky stone statues with a special emotion in his eyes. The 10 towering stone statues seemed to stand side by side with heaven and earth, exuding boundless divine power. Perhaps the geniuses in the ancient arena weren't qualified enough for them to descend. In the floating arena, more and more geniuses were possessed by the void transference phantom. Their fighting spirit was stimulated, and their faces were filled with enlightenment. Many geniuses, such as Wang Xiaowai, had their bloodline power awakened. The older and purer the bloodline, the higher the chance of resonating with the ancient will. I see. Zhao Feng sensed 2 or 3 invisible consciousnesses that originated from the 3 majestic stone statues in the mountain of stone statues. One of them was over 1,000 feet tall, and it was a 3-headed snake king. It was floating among the clouds, and its snake eyes flickered with a dark purple luster. It looked tyrannical and malevolent. The second one was more than 150 zhang tall. It was an ancient armored god of war surrounded by lightning. It held a lightning hammer in its hand, and boundless lightning covered the sky and covered the earth. The third one was a beautiful ice fairy. She stood gracefully on an ice lotus, her fine black hair fluttering in the wind. Around her was a sky full of ice and snow. Logically speaking, the teleportation intent contained within these 3 stone statues was much stronger than most geniuses. The fact that Zhao Feng was able to resonate with the intent of the 3 stone statues showed how popular he was. According to Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye, the popularity was related to one's bloodline and the strength of their dragon blessing. For example, Yu Qianhao had 4 or 5 stone statues trying to communicate with him at the same time. Shi Qingtian and Zhao Feng were the same. They resonated with the intent of the 3 stone statues. Tantai Lanyue and Goddess Bing Wei had 2. The other geniuses only had 1 stone statue that resonated with them, and none of them had any in a short period of time. Of course, only Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye could sense it. The other geniuses, such as Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng, could also sense it. Which one should I choose? Zhao Feng hadn't made a decision yet. Most of the other overwhelming prodigies hadn't made a decision. This was because the aura coming from the stone statues was becoming stronger and stronger, and more intents were awakening. Roar! Shi Qingtian suddenly let out a loud roar. A 2,000-foot-long dragon elephant shadow descended on his body, a terrifying formless aura instantly suppressing the many space-crossing shadows around him. What a strong will to cross space. Zhao Feng felt his body become heavy from far away and found it hard to breathe. It was as if he was an ant facing a desolate beast. After receiving the power of transferring across space, the genius's battle power rose dramatically and many bloodlines were awakened. Some even broke through in certain areas. For example, Wang Xiaoguai, who Zhao Feng knew, had his bloodline awakened and his mental energy level and chi of true spirit had instantly reached the true mystic rank. He was just short of forming his root of law. Behind Lu Qinxin was the figure of a goddess holding a zither. She closed her eyes, and an ancient melody faintly appeared around her. A mysterious aura continued to rise. The power of the music theory of the way of the zither has helped the embryonic form of the root of mystery to condense. Zhao Feng was secretly surprised. Situations like this were common on the floating arenas. Most commonly, it was the awakening of one's bloodline or the improvement of one's martial art. The power of an ancient dragon and elephant. Shi Qingtian let out a loud roar as a powerful and barbaric power surged out. The image of a dracophant behind him allowed him to comprehend a deeper level of the dracophant's power. In a short amount of time, Shi Qingtian's physical strength had doubled. There seemed to be an invisible force field around him that sent the nearby geniuses flying and coughed out blood. Even Tantan Lanyue and Goddess Bingwei were shocked and kept their distance from Shi Qingtian. Shi Qingtian's current strength had surpassed the other overwhelming prodigies and could even send those of the same rank flying with one punch. At this point in time, all sorts of figures descended onto the true dragon genius, and the ancient arena's dragon blessings aura became stronger. Those figures would absorb the dragon providence and fuse into one, complementing each other. After Shi Qingtian, Tantan Lanyue and Goddess Bingwei both chose the corresponding stone statue's intent, and their battle power rose to a whole new level. Once an overwhelming prodigy obtained the intent, their battle power would definitely reach the true lord rank. What a crazy era! Although the possession of the intent is temporary, most of these true dragon geniuses will improve. What a crazy era! Although the possession of the intent is temporary, most of these true dragon geniuses will improve. This sacred true dragon gathering is indeed shocking. This batch of geniuses will change the future of the continent. The sovereigns on the stage couldn't help but sigh. There's a few geniuses that haven't obtained the intent of transferring across space. The Green Moon, Sovereign exclaimed. On the floating arena, Yu Qianhao, Zhao Feng, and even Xian Wuheng and Zhao Yufei hadn't had the intent of transferring across space. Amongst them, Yu Qianhao, Zhao Feng, and Zhao Yufei all had the intent of transferring across space. For them, it was just a matter of choosing which stone statue to transfer across space. Weird, Xian Wuheng only has the intent of transferring across space. Why hasn't he chosen yet? Zhao Feng glanced at Xian Wuheng. He felt that Xian Wuheng knew more secrets than him. Yu Qianhao and Zhao Yufei had both received the intent of transferring across space from 4 or 5 stone statues. Yu Qianhao was the number 1 genius of the continent, and his dragon blessing was number 1. On the other hand, Zhao Yufei was far from an overwhelming prodigy, and her intent of transferring across space was on par with Yu Qianhao. Could it be that her bloodline is even higher than Yu Qianhao's? Zhao Feng was secretly surprised. After that, Zhao Feng started to inspect Xian Wuheng again. Xian Wuheng didn't care about the intent that was trying to communicate with him. His eyes flashed with a strange light, and an invisible intent extended out to communicate with the 10 stone statues that were the tallest. The 10 towering stone statues were tall and majestic. Among the stone statue mountains, they stood out like cranes among chickens. However, these sky stone statues were dim and didn't have any reaction. Xian Wuheng first started from the 990-yard tall one. No reaction. The second one was also 900 yards tall. No reaction. The third one was 900 yards tall. No reaction. The 10 sky stone statues were dead silent and didn't seem to have any aura. However, Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye could feel the power of nothingness within them. This meant that it wasn't that the 10 sky stone statues couldn't send their intent of transferring across space, but that they weren't willing. These sky stone statues won't send their intent of transferring across space, so Xian Wuheng has to invite them himself. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up. But could Xian Wuheng succeed? Xian Wuheng still hadn't succeeded on the 5th sky stone statue. These sky stone statues were extremely arrogant and wouldn't even bother with the overwhelming prodigies of the sacred True Dragon Gathering. At least they wouldn't send their intent of transferring across space. Since they have the intent of transferring across space, they can definitely come. It's just whether they're willing or not. Maybe they have a target they want and just need the fated person to invite them. Zhao Feng's heart moved and his eyes lit up. Right at this moment, Yu Qianhao and Zhao Yufei both received the intent of transferring across space from a 2 to 300-yard tall stone statue that surpassed Shi Qingtian and the other overwhelming prodigies. With Yu Qianhao's arrogance, he obviously wouldn't think that the largest sky stone statue would need to invite them to descend. The reason he waited for a while was because he wanted the stone statues to send their intent of transferring across space, but there was no reaction. As for Zhao Yufei, she didn't have Yu Qianhao's powerful martial intent, nor did she have Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye, so she didn't understand this level. But relatively speaking, the intent of transferring across space that Zhao Yufei and Yu Qianhao had received was stronger than the other geniuses. As Zhao Yufei and Yu Qianhao chose their own space-teleporting thoughts, some of the 10 stone statues grew even dimmer. Frustrated sighs came from them as their psychic awareness gradually dissipated. Yu Qianhao faintly felt something, and his expression changed slightly, but he didn't regret it. While he possessed an unparalleled and powerful willpower and conviction, his vision and temperament were too high, and he would also miss some opportunities. Can Xian Wuheng succeed? Zhao Feng found that Xian Wuheng's intent kept on communicating with the 10 sky stone statues, and no matter how many times he failed, his expression remained calm. According to Zhao Feng's analysis, Xian Wuheng's chance of success wasn't high. Firstly, he didn't have a strong bloodline. Secondly, his dragon blessing wasn't as strong as the overwhelming prodigies. Let me try. Zhao Feng's competitive heart rose and sent out a wisp of mental energy, intent to try to communicate with one of the 10 sky stone statues. Chapter 381. The 10 towering stone statues were like 10 gigantic gods in the pitch-black universe, looking down on the past and present, suppressing all the gods, demons, and ghosts in the mountains of stone statues. After Yu Qianhao and Zhao Yufei made their choice, the sky stone statues became even darker. The first and second statues were completely dark and had fallen into a deep sleep. Those that could be called sky stone statues were at least 600 yards tall. The first 3 were 900 yards tall and were close to 1,000 yards tall. The other 7 were 700 to 800 yards tall. The first and second statues were extinguished. Zhao Feng's target was the third. His psychic intent easily came into contact with the third sky-reaching stone statue. The result was there was no reaction. The mental energy intent of the sky stone statue had a prideful aura that disdained descending on an ant of the future. Could it be that my bloodline talent is worse than Yu Qianhao and Zhao Yufei's? Zhao Feng didn't give up and moved on to the 4th tallest statue. Failure. No reaction from the 5th. Failure. He continued and failed again. Zhao Feng suffered a big blow. Logically speaking, he had the dragon blessing of an overwhelming prodigy, and his bloodline was at least an ancient bloodline. His chances of success should be much higher than Xian Wuheng's. It wasn't until the 9th and 10th sky stone statues that there was a slight reaction. However, when the intent of the 2 sky stone statues touched Zhao Feng, they became dead silent and didn't react at all. Zhao Feng, who had failed time and time again, felt a sense of disappointment. However, thinking about how Xian Wuheng hadn't succeeded yet, he felt better. Meow meow. The little thieving cat hopped onto Zhao Feng's body, its eyes solemn as it stared at the heavenly stone statues. At this point in time, of the 5 overwhelming prodigies, Yu Qianhao, Shi Chantan, Goddess Bing Wei, and Tantan Lanyue had all received the power of transferring across space. Over half of the true dragon, 100 strong, had this honor. Being an overwhelming prodigy and a new overwhelming prodigy, Zhao Feng's every action was watched. Why didn't this Zhao Feng receive the space-traversing will? The eyes of some true dragon geniuses twinkled as they revealed gloating expressions. Yes, in this sacred true dragon gathering, Zhao Feng's rise was like a shooting star, and every step he took was like a god. He was the #1 black horse and the new overwhelming prodigy. Who knew how many people were jealous of him? Many first-tier experts have reached the peerless prodigy level after obtaining the space-crossing will. If this Zhao Feng is unable to obtain the will to cross space, his strength will probably be ranked outside the top 20. Many geniuses were secretly watching Zhao Feng's every move. Zhao Feng was unmoved. Facing the stone statues, his expression was somewhat ugly. Looking at Zhao Feng's expression, everyone could not help but speculate further. Could it be that Zhao Feng did not have the will to cross space to descend? This Zhao Feng relied on shameless methods to become an overwhelming prodigy. Now he can't obtain the will of an ancient expert. This is karma. Goddess Bing Wei's face was filled with coldness and mockery. There was a large figure of an ice goddess standing on an ice lotus behind her that gave off a coldness that could freeze everything. Everything within 1 mile of Goddess Bing Wei was covered in snow and ice. Just her domain alone could freeze normal cultivators at the true spirit realm. She didn't know that the figure that descended on her was something Zhao Feng had considered but didn't want. "Get out of my way!" Goddess Bing Wei exclaimed as she turned into a streak of blue light and flew in Zhao Feng's direction. Everywhere she passed, a frightening cold current and freezing air scattered in all directions. The true dragon geniuses were shocked and all moved out of the way. Although many true dragon geniuses had received the will to cross space, and their strength had risen dramatically. However, the overwhelming prodigy's foundation was strong, and the will to cross space was even stronger. They could still instantly kill normal true dragon geniuses. Shua, one of the 2 true dragon geniuses, had slow reactions while the other had a clash of confidence and were swept by the cold air. The expressions of the 2 true dragon geniuses froze, and they wanted to say something, but found that their bodies were completely frozen and couldn't move. Even a figure behind them seemed to freeze. An overwhelming prodigy is an overwhelming prodigy. No one under the true lord rank can block Goddess Bing Wei's power of ice. The geniuses were filled with respect and wariness as they watched Goddess Bing Wei fly away. Not good. Her target is brother Zhao Feng. Zhao Yufei's complexion changed. Like a spirit sparrow overflowing with colorful light, she tore through the sky and chased after him as fast as lightning. The shadow behind her was a mysterious rainbow butterfly fairy that was overflowing with light. It was magnificent and imposing. Only Yu Qianhao's shadow could compare to it. After receiving the power of transferring across space, Zhao Yufei's mental energy level and skill suddenly rose, and her cultivation broke through to the early stages of the true mystic rank. In terms of speed, Zhao Yufei wasn't any slower than Goddess Bing Wei. Chiu! The 2 flawless goddesses leapt towards Zhao Feng's direction. This scene made the other true dragon geniuses dazed. Those with eyes could feel the killing intent from Goddess Bing Wei. The enmity between Zhao Feng and Goddess Bing Wei had lasted from the first round of the 5 zones until now. Zhao Yufei was worried as she charged toward Zhao Feng. Goddess Bing Wei's strength had increased by several folds after obtaining the figure, and her crazy attacks would pose a fatal danger to Zhao Feng. I failed again. The will of the 3rd heaven lifting stone statue is getting weaker and weaker. It's going to vanish soon. Zhao Feng's eyes locked onto the stone statues and failed again and again. Right at this moment, Zhao Feng felt a bone-chilling killing intent, and his heart went cold. Turning his eyes, he saw Goddess Bing Wei charge over with a giant figure that gave off a freezing aura. Goddess Bing Wei's strength has doubled. Once she comes, I won't be able to take 3 moves. Zhao Feng's heart clenched. He took a deep breath and decided to try one last time. If he failed again, Zhao Feng could only choose another stone statue. At this moment, Zhao Feng's mind, energy, and energy all merged into one, and he entered a profound state. It was as if his back was against nature. Mental energy merged into one and become one with nature. Zhao Feng's aura seemed to be born from the heaven and earth, and his mental energy was unprecedentedly empty. Immediately following, all his thoughts gathered on the god's spiritual eye. With the god's spiritual eye as the core, he used his strongest mental energy intent to communicate with the stone statues. Pah! Pah! Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly sped up, and the aura of the god spiritual eye was sent out along with his mental energy intent. At this instant, many bloodline geniuses in the floating arena felt their bloodline power tremble for an instant, including Goddess Bing Wei, who was closing in. Goddess Bing Wei was slightly surprised, but didn't put it to heart, and continued to attack the motionless Zhao Feng. In his vision, the blue-haired youth went from the size of a black dot to becoming bigger. Closer, even closer. The aura of the ancient era. Could it be? An ancient cold voice sounded in Zhao Feng's mind with a hint of surprise. If someone was paying attention, they would find that the aura of the third stone statue paused for a moment before starting to rise again. The third sky stone statue was of a foreign race expert covered in greenish-black scales. His eyes were as deep as a bottomless, mysterious black hole. He held the azure dragon halberd in his hand, and beneath his feet was a demonic dragon that was covered in black flames. Around him were patches of lotus-like flames that gave rise to black smoke. From afar, it was like a demon lord of hell coldly looking down on the world. Wang, the stone statue, suddenly gave off a layer of light and started to brighten, as if it had walked out from an endless land of darkness. In that instant, the auras of the countless stone statues stopped, as if they were worshipping the demon lord. At the same time, Zhao Feng successfully communicated with the mental energy intent of the Lord of Darkness Hell. Ha ha! So that's how it is. Although the ancient era has ended, the power of the bloodline continues to exist in the universe. Even, you are no exception? What an honor it is to be able to fight side by side with an existence like you. A domineering voice sounded in Zhao Feng's mind. Come! Zhao Feng felt that Goddess Bing Wei was already 1 mile away from him, and he couldn't delay any longer. Although he knew that the stone statue that looked like the Dark Hell Demon Lord might have recognized him as someone else, as long as he could possess the stone statue's teleportation intent, he would be happy to do so. Zhao Feng bastard die. Goddess Bing Wei's face was covered in frost as she pushed out an ice phoenix that was dozens of yards long. It was extremely lifelike and gave off a chilling aura that froze everything within a mile radius. In an instant, everything within a mile radius turned into a world of ice. Such a terrifying ice secret technique made the geniuses present, including the experts of the older generation, change their expressions. The current Goddess Bing Wei's battle power is probably even slightly stronger than the early stage True Lord rank. The owner of these stone statues was once such a powerful existence. Both outside and inside the city were stunned by Goddess Bing Wei's battle power. Hiss hiss, Zhao Feng felt a coldness spread through his legs, and the blood in his body almost froze as he breathed out a mist of ice. Right at this moment, rumble, a 9,000 feet tall phantom image broke through the air and entered the floating arena. That unprecedentedly majestic phantom was like an unrivaled demon lord. Black smoke billowed beneath his feet, and the demonic dragon roared. Around him were patches of green lotus flames and black smoke, covering the sky and covering the sun. Oh my God, what kind of existence is that? He's one of the sky-reaching stone statues. It's very likely that his previous owner was a deity from the immemorial era. The supremacies on the oval platform were shocked. The true dragon geniuses on the floating arena found it hard to breathe, as if they were covered by a shadow, and the figure behind them trembled. That's... Goddess Bing Wei leapt over, and an ice phoenix dozens of yards long swept toward Zhao Feng. Although she launched her attack, she was intimidated by an unparalleled demonic might. There was a strong will in the darkness that made her unable to even think of going against it. Fuck off. Zhao Feng felt as if he had a will that could look down on the heavens, and a mysterious power appeared on his body, instantly dispelling the coldness on his body. Bam! With a flash, Zhao Feng's foot landed on Goddess Bing Wei's stomach. Goddess Bing Wei spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. Before she could land on the ground, her figure flashed again. Plop! A blue-haired figure with a towering, demonic shadow descended from the sky and stepped on her crotch. Chapter 382. Peng Peng. Zhao Feng's figure landed on the ground. His speed just then was as fast as lightning, and even some of the true lord ranks didn't see it clearly. Goddess Bing Wei was dazed from the beating. The mental energy intent of the Sky Stone statue was unbelievably strong, and although it had already been destroyed, the remaining intent of the heavens and earth added a mysterious power to Zhao Feng's body. On the stone statue mountain range, every stone statue represented a generation of almighty experts, a generation of legendary glory. Amongst them, dozens of yards was one level, 100 yards was another, and 200 to 300 yards was another. The most powerful of the stone statues were 700 to 800 meters tall. Some were 900 meters tall, and some were even close to 3,000 meters tall. The divine power they possessed when they were alive was boundless. Even if they died, they could transcend the boundaries of time and space to descend. Zhao Feng's figure was without a doubt the strongest. Behind him was a greenish-black scaled giant shadow that looked like a demon lord of hell, causing many of the figures to shiver in fear. For example, under Zhao Feng, Goddess Bing Wei's figure kept on trembling, and the power of the heavens and earth was greatly weakened. Preposterous. This thief actually dared to. Goddess Bing Wei's face was full of humiliation as she raised her head and saw the blue-haired youth's legs. However, Zhao Feng didn't even pay attention to her. His eyes were closed as comprehension flashed through them. The teleportation intent that was attached to his body contained some residual information and energy aura. Even if it was just a tiny bit, it was 1,000 times more profound than the lightning inheritance. What was special was that the remnant information and aura was closely linked to the genius mental energy, and no matter how profound it was, they could comprehend it. Such powerful intent, battle skills, and power. Zhao Feng had only touched a few broken particles of information energy, but he was already stunned. Unfortunately, the remnant information and aura of power from the Sky Stone statue didn't match Zhao Feng's element. However, the remnant intent energy was still able to strengthen Zhao Feng's mind and increase his mental energy level. In a short while, Zhao Feng's mental energy level rose by leaps and bounds and reached the peak true mystic rank. Inside the space of his left eye, the frozen, deep blue cold pond gradually showed signs of melting. Ripples of light appeared, and its diameter extended to 29 feet. The size of the cold pond was related to Zhao Feng's mental state. The true human rank was within 1 yard, and the true mystic rank within 3 yards. Breaking through 3 yards was the mental energy level of the true lord rank. Zhao Feng could faintly feel that as God's spiritual, I was closer to the aura of the figure behind him. Maybe they came from the same era. Zhao Feng, you shameless, lowly thief. Goddess Bing Wei was humiliated and gritted her teeth as she burned her chi of true spirit, and an ice lotus flame surged toward Zhao Feng. Burning his chi of true spirit, Zhao Feng jumped in fright. That ice lotus flame gave him a feeling that it could easily destroy the vitality of his legs. Bang! Zhao Feng's foot landed on Goddess Bing Wei's face, and sent her body flying dozens of yards before spitting out a mouthful of blood. The instant Goddess Bing Wei landed on the ground, a red footprint appeared on her jade-white face. The true dragon geniuses in the floating arena were stunned. The overwhelming prodigy Goddess Bing Wei was stepped on by Zhao Feng and then kicked on her face. Zhao Feng didn't show any mercy at all. If it wasn't for the fact that the Mystic Ice Palace is strong, I would have killed her long ago. Zhao Feng kicked Goddess Bing Wei away as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Goddess Bing Wei's ice lotus flame from burning her chi of true spirit had indeed brought him some danger. Bing Wei, don't be rash. The Mystic Ice Queen exclaimed outside the ancient arena. The Mystic Ice Queen felt the killing intent on Zhao Feng's face. If it wasn't for the fact that he was calm, Goddess Bing Wei wouldn't just be lightly injured. At this moment, everyone's gazes locked onto Zhao Feng. The 900-yard figure behind him was like a crane amongst chickens. The other true dragon geniuses had figures that were dozens of yards or even hundreds of yards. Even Yu Tianhao and Zhao Yufei's figures were 200 to 300 yards. In other words, the increase in Zhao Feng's strength and benefits would surpass the other true dragon geniuses. Could this Zhao Feng be first in the sacred true dragon gathering? Some spectators couldn't help but exclaim. Across the floating arena, Zhao Feng's aura was the strongest. His dragon blessing had merged with the figure behind him and seemed to suppress this era. Even some of the sovereigns on the stage were suspicious that Zhao Feng might be able to shake Yu Tianhao's first place. Not necessarily. This sacred true dragon gathering is extremely weird. The final round isn't for the rankings. The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord fell in a deep thought. Zhao Feng, you indeed didn't disappoint me. Yu Tianhao laughed. Instead of being surprised, he was overjoyed. It was as if the blood in his body was burning, triggering a peerlessly tyrannical will to fight. It fused with the 300-meter-tall shadow behind him. Although Yu Tianhao's figure wasn't as strong as Zhao Feng's, his mental energy, intent, and belief was more compatible with the power of transferring across space. Unparalleled in the heavens, Yu Tianhao flew over, and all the geniuses retreated and even froze. An unparalleled intent soared into the sky and suppressed the ancient arena. It was more than 10 times stronger than the strongest sword intent from the sacred true dragon gathering. Just this intent alone could injure the true dragon geniuses of the first tier, surpassing the overwhelming prodigies. At this moment in time, Tantai Lanyue, Shi, Chantan, Goddess Bing Wei, and company were stunned. No one would have thought that Yu Tianhao's true strength was so strong. Perhaps his ability to transfer across space had also grown. Yu Tianhao sent out a palm strike that seemed to be able to sweep through the world, crushing everything in its path in an extremely tyrannical manner. There was no path of retreat or defense. An unparalleled attack swept across everything. In the face of this peerlessly powerful will, Zhao Feng's mind trembled and was almost suppressed. Before the opponent's palm even got close, it seemed to end everything. Come, overwhelming prodigy king of this era. Zhao Feng felt as if the figure behind him had a dominating aura that looked down on everything in the world, and a surge of power entered his body. At the same time, a throne of ice appeared behind Zhao Feng. This time, the icy figure was even larger and its silhouette was even clearer. It wore a crown on its head and held a huge black sword in its hand. It was obvious that after being strengthened by the figure, Zhao Feng's bloodline power had been awakened. Ice Lightning Raging Dragon. Zhao Feng roared as his blue hair blew in the wind. Ice, wind, and lightning wreaked havoc in heaven and earth, and was enough to instantly kill normal true mystic ranks. Amidst the howling of the ice, wind, and thunder, a giant dragon was born. It was somewhat similar to the black demonic dragon that the Phantom was sitting on, causing the power of ice and thunder to erupt with even more tyrannical power. Unparalleled in the heavens. Ice Lightning Raging Dragon. The two terrifying forces that were almost comparable to the peak true lord rank clashed and sent lightning everywhere within a 4 to 5 mile radius. Arc, Screams came from the floating arena as unlucky true dragon geniuses were either killed or injured by the shock waves of the two terrifying techniques. The two geniuses of the two eras clashed on the floating arena, causing countless true dragon geniuses to dodge in a daze. In the primordial arena, the spectator stands were filled with exclamations. After clashing head-on with Yu Qianhao, Zhao Feng's figure was pushed back dozens of yards, and he forced down a mouthful of blood. His cultivation and foundation was still weaker than Yu Qianhao's. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the advantage of being able to move across space, this palm probably wouldn't just be a light injury. Tong. Yu Qianhao's figure was pushed back and his body felt numb, making him unable to attack a second time. At this point in time, the two felt troubled and didn't attack a second time. This Zhao Feng has grown to such a level and is able to face Yu Qianhao head-on. Waves appeared in Mo Tiany's heart. Countless true dragon geniuses on the arena were stunned and pulled away from Zhao Feng and Yu Qianhao, afraid of being affected. One boom. Suddenly, a weird explosion broke the standoff between Zhao Feng and Yu Qianhao. Out of the 10 towering stone statues, the 7th statue projected at the 700-meter-tall silhouette onto Xian Wuheng's body. Even that guy has descended. I'll come out and stretch my bones. A laugh sounded in Xian Wuheng's mind. Behind him was a purple-robed Taoist who looked like a wild crane. Above his head were 3 layers of purple cloud flames, and under his feet was an unknown giant flaming bull. Success. Xian Wuheng revealed a rare look of joy. Under normal situations, his bloodline wasn't strong enough, and it would be hard for him to communicate with the remaining intent within the Skystone statues. However, with Zhao Feng as a precedent, his tireless efforts finally had a small chance of success. When Xian Wuheng obtained the sky-reaching stone statue's teleportation power, the situation on the battlefield changed. Xian Wuheng's aura became more condensed and wasn't much weaker than Zhao Feng and Yu Qianhao. He was stronger than normal, overwhelming prodigies. A tripartite confrontation, the sovereigns on the stage were interested. The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord fell in a deep thought and murmured, "This third trial doesn't look like it's about ranking, but more like fortune. What's going to happen next?" Just as he was thinking, the sky above the floating arena suddenly changed. One of the inheritance projections showed signs of solidifying, and it even extended out a bright, illusory door that overlapped with the ancient Colosseum. What's going on? Why is the inheritance connecting so quickly? The sacred True Dragon Gathering hasn't even ended, and the inheritances have connected. The ancient arena was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. I understand. The second round has been decided based on the True Dragon Genius's providence. And this segment is no longer a competition for rankings, but a competition to enter the inheritance. The Vice Hall Master, who was deep in thought, suddenly came to a realization. Chapter 383. In the ancient arena, more than a dozen inheritance projections had already appeared in the sky. The projection of one of the inheritances from the outer realms was becoming clearer. One could see the mountains, the clouds, the jade palaces, and even the figures of some demon beasts. This inheritance projection extended a bright, illusory door that overlapped with the ancient arena. To be more precise, the illusory door was projected above the floating arena. With a pop sound, the floating arena rippled with a watery film like luster, and a human-sized water staircase extended from the ground to the sky, connecting with the illusory door. From the staircase, one could reach the door of the inheritance. This scene caused the spectators to break out into chaos. What's going on? The inheritances have started to connect? The true dragon geniuses, including Zhao Feng, were surprised. They thought that there would be a battle between tigers and dragons before the inheritances would connect. However, the situation in this sacred true dragon gathering had gone out of control, and the ancient arena was full of variables. So fast, the Heaven's legacy inheritance hasn't appeared yet. Xian Wuheng's expression changed slightly as he stared at the sky. The inheritances had started to connect, but the Heaven's legacy inheritance didn't appear. A small number of people were slightly regretful. But thinking about it, it was a once-in-a-lifetime fortune for any one of the four great inheritances to appear. The Scarlet Moon inheritance and Mystic Ice inheritance had both appeared in this sacred True Dragon gathering. This was already a rare occurrence, even though the former had been taken away by an unknown existence. At this point in time, the True Dragon geniuses on the floating arena held their breaths as they stared at the door. The staircase extended from the arena and connected with the inheritance door. With the naked eye, both the staircase and the door seemed to be between an illusory object and a physical object. This is the Northern House inheritance. It's not bad amongst the inheritances that have appeared before and is at least a level stronger than some of the inheritances controlled by the 10 great clans. The Heaven's Legacy inheritance not appearing is indeed slightly regretful. However, it's hard to say until the last moment. The venerable ones on the oval platform were discussing in low voices, their eyes sparkling. In this great era, the sacred True Dragon had broken countless records and created countless miracles. Even though the Tianji inheritance had yet to appear, it was still glorious. Let's go. Although it's not one of the four great legacies, the slots for the four great legacies are extremely limited. It won't be our turn. Some True Dragon geniuses on the floating arena exclaimed and leapt towards the northern floor inheritance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the start, there were only 2 or 3 True Dragon geniuses, but now there were more than a dozen. A genius climbed up the stairs of rippling water and headed straight for the illusory door of the Outer Realm inheritance. The other 2 True Dragon geniuses shouted as they went around the stairs and went through the gate. Pu. The 2 True Dragon geniuses passed through the door like they were in a dream and stood dazed on the spot. Whoosh! The genius who walked down the stairs of rippling water successfully stepped into the illusory door. With a buzzing sound, the illusory door glowed brilliantly, and his figure disappeared without a trace. So that's how it is. We must enter from the rippling water stairs. The geniuses at the back came to a realization and rushed up the stairs. However, the stairs were only wide enough for one person. One had to walk steadily and go through some sort of transition to enter the door of the inheritance. At this point in time, more than a dozen True Dragon geniuses fought over the path. Snowy sun, scorching sky, crippling blood, 9 moon blade, void, ghost, spatial technique. One after another, the True Dragon geniuses used their secret techniques and techniques. Their goal was to pass through the bridge and enter the door of the inheritance. Just think about it. The stairs were only wide enough for one person, but there were more than a dozen people fighting over it. What kind of cruel scene would that be? Blade light, sword chi, palm images, the sound of thunder, the howling of wind, and even a mysterious power of transferring across space enveloped the stairs. One True Dragon genius's body was ripped apart, and he died on the spot. The other 2 groaned and fell down with heavy injuries. Merciless killing. In just a short while, the eyes of the True Dragon geniuses were red. This was more cruel than any competition. The last round is for the True Dragon geniuses to fight for the inheritance. There are still no rules, and it all depends on one's own strength. Zhao Feng nodded his head in his heart. Of course, there were only a dozen or so True Dragon geniuses participating right now. Many were waiting to see what would happen. This was especially so for the 5 overwhelming prodigies or the first-tier True Dragon geniuses. Their goal was even higher, and they hoped to enter a better inheritance or even the 4 great inheritances. Half the time it took to make tea later. The phantom gate of the northern tower suddenly dimmed after the 5 of them entered. The phantom gradually became transparent and disappeared into the clouds in the sky. 5 spots. No. As these geniuses fight, the door of the northern floor inheritance will use up a certain amount of energy. Zhao Feng's eyes were very accurate. Every time someone entered, the door would dim a bit and its stability would decrease. Furthermore, as time passed, the door would use up all its energy. With a limited number of spots, Zhao Feng couldn't imagine how many geniuses would die and how many would succeed. Wang, as soon as the Northern Tower's inheritance disappeared, another inheritance projection projected a door that connected with the floating arena. With the experience from last time, there were 10 or 20 geniuses competing this time. Roars and roars filled the area. The ones competing right now were the true dragon geniuses that were ranked at the bottom of the 50s. The 5 overwhelming prodigies and the first-tier geniuses didn't make a move. In just a while, 2 or 3 people entered the second inheritance, and the door dimmed by more than half. Right at this moment, sharp phantoms appeared near the clouds in the sky. A sharp aura that could penetrate one's soul seemed to have penetrated through time and space. The true dragon geniuses on the floating arena all felt their hearts jump coldly, as if they had been pierced by 10,000 swords. Everyone couldn't help but raise their heads and look at the figure above them. They could faintly see the sky sword pavilions that were filled with sharpness. The world within the figure was filled with multicolored sword lights. That's the 7-sword inheritance. The 9 martial highnesses on the platform blurted out in surprise. The 7-sword inheritance was ranked second amongst the 4 great inheritances and was only below the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. The instant the 7-sword inheritance descended, an unparalleled sharp sword aura forced the inheritance that was connecting to it away. Boom! The inheritance that was connecting to it dimmed and disappeared from the ancient arena. The 7-sword inheritance is so dominating. It even destroyed the other inheritance. The true dragon geniuses below were shocked, and their blood boiled. So, shwa. The instant the 7-sword inheritance connected, 20 to 30 true dragon geniuses, most of which were cultivators of the Tao of the sword or used swords, charged over. Kill. Fuck off. Those who block me will die. 20 to 30 true dragon geniuses fighting together was a terrifying scene. With the power of transferring across space, each of these true dragon geniuses had at least the strength of the true mystic rank, and most of them were at the early stages of the true mystic rank. This included Xia Xianshang, Sang Yuyue, and other sword geniuses. Ding, 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 Pu Shu. Sword light and sword light intersected, and the mountains within a few miles were turned to dust. Normal true human rank cultivators that came close would be shattered like paper. Those of the Tao of the sword have terrifying attacks. Even an overwhelming prodigy can be killed by the combined attacks of these 20 to 30 people. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. He gazed at the 7-sword inheritance in the sky and couldn't help but think. Of the 4 great inheritances, the 7-sword inheritance was ranked above the Scarlet Moon inheritance and Mystic Ice inheritance. If I can obtain the essence of the 7-sword inheritance, my attacks will be extremely strong, and I can slash through everything with one sword. Zhao Feng's heart was slightly moved. With his comprehension and learning skills, it wasn't impossible for him to change to the Tao of the sword. But this thought was soon erased by Zhao Feng. My core is the Tao of the soul, which is why I'm compatible with the God's spiritual eye. Although the Tao of the sword is strong, it's too extreme, and my defense isn't as good. Zhao Feng quickly rejected this. There were many abilities and secret skills in the world, and no matter how strong your attacks were, it couldn't change your weaknesses. For example, Goddess Bingwei and Shi Qingtian were the bane of sword cultivators. Their defense and control were strong. Goddess Bingwei didn't even wait for others to get close before freezing or even sealing them in ice. Her attacks were greatly reduced. Shi Qingtian used his gravity domain, and his opponents were suppressed by gravity and couldn't even move. Experts of the same cultivation couldn't even use 40 to 50% of their full power. At this moment in time, the competition for the 7-sword inheritance was extremely intense. Sang Yue and Xia Xianshang weren't the only ones participating. There were other geniuses that weren't weak or even stronger. Even Tuoba Qi, one of the 3 I bloodline families, was competing for it. If I can obtain the 7-sword inheritance and merge the essence of the Tao of the sword with my heavenly piercing eye, even an overwhelming prodigy might not be my match. Tuoba Qi's eyes flashed, and an invisible sharpness would slash through his opponent's throat. Shua. Tuoba was the first to step into the seven-sword inheritance. Sister Yue, your talent in the Tao of the sword is better. I'll block them while you go in. Xia Xianshang burned his chi of true spirit and slashed out waves of ice-blue lotus-shaped sword chi that slashed apart several true dragon geniuses near the entrance. However, this caused him to be surrounded by many sword cultivators, and he instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. Shua. Song Yue glanced gratefully at Xia Xianshang before entering the seven-sword inheritance. At this moment in time, Xia Xianshang couldn't hold on any longer, and his body and mind were both injured. Many of the sword cultivators attacking him had comprehended sword intent. Wang, the door of the seven-sword inheritance, suddenly closed. It wasn't because there wasn't enough energy, but because it closed by itself. There are only 2 spots for the seven-sword inheritance. The geniuses fighting below were enraged and unwilling as they watched one of the 4 great inheritances, the seven-sword inheritance, pass by them. Chapter 384. The seven-sword inheritance had only appeared for a short period of time and had only taken 2 spots before disappearing from the ancient arena. Many true dragon geniuses below, especially those of the sword Tao side. Some even looked at Xia Xianshang with hatred and dissatisfaction. Xia Xianshang had risked his life to give Song Yue the fortune to enter the seven-sword inheritance. His face was pale, but there was a trace of relief on his face. He stared at the elders of the Wan Jian house. The spots for the 4 great inheritances are extremely rare. It's normal for the seven-sword inheritance to only have 2 spots. Xia Xianshang looked at the big picture and opened the path for Song Yue, allowing the 10,000 sword clan to obtain a spot for the seven-sword inheritance. This is our fortune. This precious spot may change the fate of the 10,000 sword clan. The elders of the 10,000 sword clan were overjoyed. Back then, Sword Saint Yi Wuxia had obtained the seven-sword inheritance and became the #1 expert in the Tao of the sword. Even the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch was wary of him. This was the 2nd time in the last several thousand years that the seven-sword inheritance had appeared. From this, one could see how valuable this fortune was. Any one of the 4 great inheritances can create a legendary king and change the fate of the continent. The Black Ice Queen stared at the projection of the Black Ice inheritance in the sky with a trace of fascination. After the seven-sword inheritance had left, the Mystic Ice inheritance was without a doubt the strongest inheritance. Bingwei, you must grasp this opportunity. The sovereign Mystic Ice Queen was filled with anticipation and worry. After all, Goddess Bingwei wasn't the only overwhelming prodigy here. For example, Zhao Feng and Xian Wuheng could compete for the Mystic Ice inheritance, and with the help of the figure, their strength would only be stronger than Goddess Bingwei. The Mystic Ice Queen was worried that Zhao Feng would interfere when the Mystic Ice inheritance was opened. After all, Zhao Feng and Goddess Bingwei were enemies in the sacred True Dragon gathering. At this point in time, Zhao Feng stood on the floating arena with a 900-yard-tall figure behind him. Apart from Xian Wuheng and Yu Qianhao, no one else could compare to him. If there's no suitable soul, Tao inheritance, or lightning-related inheritance, I'll choose the Mystic Ice inheritance. His eyes flashed as he stared at the Mystic Ice inheritance above his head. Although the succession of the 7 swords was powerful, the 5 peerless geniuses did not compete for it. Of course, if Taiyun Xuanzi wasn't dead, he would definitely participate, and if that was the case, Song Yue might not have the chance to enter the 7-sword inheritance. None of the 5 peerless geniuses were proficient in sword Tao. They only knew a little about it. Under such circumstances, even if they entered the 7 swords inheritance, it would be very difficult for them to gain anything. There was only the most suitable inheritance, not the strongest. The 5 overwhelming prodigies naturally understood this, so they did not compete with each other. However, the profound ice inheritance was different. As long as the cultivation technique of the profound ice inheritance was inclined towards water, ice, or cold, there was a high chance of success. In fact, as long as it was not fire-attributed, it was worth a try. Among the 5 overwhelming prodigies, apart from Shi Qingtian, the others could choose to try the mystic ice inheritance. Zhao Feng's bloodline power and the god spirit, I leaned towards the cold water attribute. The profound ice inheritance was also suitable for him. The 7-sword inheritance and the profound ice inheritance both have certain elemental requirements. However, there are some inheritances that I don't want. For example, the Heaven's Legacy inheritance is a complicated inheritance that suits all sorts of geniuses. Another example is the Scarlet Moon inheritance, which doesn't have any obvious requirements. Zhao Feng continued to weigh the pros and cons. If the 4 great inheritances appear at the same time, he would definitely choose the Heaven's Legacy inheritance first, followed by the profound ice inheritance, the Scarlet Moon inheritance, and then the 7-sword inheritance. Unfortunately, the Heaven's Legacy inheritance didn't appear and the Scarlet Moon inheritance was taken. This way, Zhao Feng didn't have many choices. In reality, he was looking forward to the Tao of the Soul inheritance. Only those that suited him were the strongest. However, the Tao of the Soul was already extremely rare, even rarer than body strengthening. In the Green Flower Continent, the Tao of the Soul was almost lost. Time passed slowly. After the 7-sword inheritance left, 2 other inheritances connected and caused a bloody battle. Finally, only 10 or so geniuses successfully entered the inheritances. None of the 5 overwhelming prodigies moved. There were also fewer geniuses that entered the first tier. Amongst the overwhelming prodigies, Tantai Lanyue and Zhao Feng occasionally looked at the mystic ice inheritance. Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng also occasionally glanced over. Goddess Bingwei's injuries had just healed, and seeing this situation, her heart tightened and felt pressured. It depended on the situation. Zhao Feng and Tantai Lanyue both wanted to compete for the mystic ice inheritance. Yu Qianhao and Xian Wuheng had a certain chance. Goddess Bingwei felt great pressure and cursed in her heart. However, Tantai Lanyue and Zhao Feng were both her enemies. Zhao Feng, it looks like you also want to compete for the Mystic Ice inheritance. Why don't we team up and make sure Goddess Bingwei doesn't have a chance? Tantai Lanyue wore a colorful dress and revealed half of her legs. Her eyes were as bright as crystal as she threw an olive branch to Zhao Feng. In the second round of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, Goddess Bingwei and Tantai Lanyue also had enmity. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Tantai Lanyue was full of expectation, and her eyes twinkled like crystals as she waited for Zhao Feng's reply. With Zhao Feng's current strength, he was an elite amongst the overwhelming prodigies, just below Yu Qianhao. Now that he had the figure of transferring across space, he had the potential to become number 1, or at least stand shoulder to shoulder with Yu Qianhao. If she could team up with Zhao Feng, the other overwhelming prodigies wouldn't be able to stop them, and they would be truly unrivaled. At that time, Tantai Lanyue would definitely be able to enter the Mystic Ice inheritance and attack Goddess Bingwei. No, Zhao Feng's voice sounded in Tantai Lanyue's mind. Rejected? Tantai Lanyue was extremely surprised, and her face was full of confusion. One had to know. From the first round of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, Goddess Bingwei tried to kill Zhao Feng. In the second round, Goddess Bingwei teamed up with the other overwhelming prodigies to kill Zhao Feng. In the third round, Goddess Bingwei also tried to kill Zhao Feng, but failed. It was fine if Zhao Feng didn't retaliate, but he didn't even give up the chance to suppress Goddess Bingwei. Zhao Feng is cold and heartless. Why wouldn't he be willing? Could it be that he's in love with Goddess Bingwei? Tantai Lanyue's mouth opened slightly. This was the only result she could think of. I alone am enough to suppress her. An emotionless voice added. Tantai Lanyue paused and wanted to retaliate, but was speechless. Looking at the blue-haired, cold youth not far away, his calm and masculine voice caused Tantai Lanyue's heart to move. Hee. Although this Zhao Feng is cold, he's very manly. His age is similar to mine amongst the overwhelming prodigies. Tantai Lanyue's thoughts ran wild, and her face went red. Different from you, Tianhao, Tantai Lanyue was the publicly recognized, overwhelming prodigy of this generation and was participating in the sacred True Dragon gathering for the first time. There were several elders of the Tantai family present, including an old woman and a beautiful woman. That little girl, Lanyu, seems like she's moved. A smile appeared on the beautiful woman's face, and her aura had reached the half-step true spirit realm. The old woman next to her had reached the origin core realm and nodded her head. This Zhao Feng isn't bad. He has a noble eye bloodline, and in terms of talent, age, and cultivation, he's a good match for Lanyue. Zhao Feng, who was on the floating arena, probably didn't expect so many families to look at him. Not just the Tantai family. Even those from the 3 eye bloodline families stared at Zhao Feng with fiery eyes. Those with eye bloodlines are suitable for marriage. Third elder, I remember you have a granddaughter. Yeah, my granddaughter is already over 80 years old, and there's another 3. 3 is a bit too young. My granddaughter has just turned 10 and is at the 6th sky of the Ascended Realm. She might be able to try. Zhao Feng's performance in this sacred True Dragon gathering was too eye-catching. His eye bloodline seemed to be showing signs of surpassing the other 3 eye bloodline families. As for powerful bloodlines, some families and aristocratic families were eager to obtain them. On the floating arena, a cold phantom image appeared, emanating a powerful aura that prevented the other phantoms from getting too close to it. The mystic ice inheritances starting to move. The hearts of the true dragon geniuses below sped up and held their breaths, seeing the mystic ice inheritance become clearer. Of the 5 overwhelming prodigies, Goddess Bingwei, Tantai Lanyue, and Zhao Feng all seemed to move. Apart from that, there were 4 or 5 first-tier true dragon geniuses. My God, there's 3 overwhelming prodigies competing for the mystic ice inheritance. Some of the true dragon geniuses retreated far away. Soon, the profound ice inheritance projected a glittering, icy gate that connected with the rippling water steps. The mystic ice inheritance suits me the best. Goddess Bingwei took a deep breath and instantly activated her chi of true spirit and bloodline power as she flew towards the stairs. At the same time, Zhao Feng and Tantai Lanyue both leapt towards the stairs. Zhao Feng will definitely stop Goddess Bingwei. This way I can enter the mystic ice inheritance. Tantai Lanyue was overjoyed. She was obviously happy to be able to enter the mystic ice inheritance with a man she liked. However, he didn't know that Zhao Feng had other plans. I'll purposely let Goddess Bingwei enter the mystic ice inheritance, and after she enters I'll try to kill her. Killing intent flashed in Zhao Feng's eyes. Goddess Bingwei had tried to kill him time and time again, and she definitely wouldn't let it go. Rather than suppressing her, it was better to just kill her and get rid of any future troubles. This was also the reason why Zhao Feng didn't work with Tantai Lanyue. On the contrary, I'll stop Tantai Lanyue from entering the mystic ice inheritance. After all, the spots are limited. There's no evidence of killing Goddess Bingwei in the inheritance, and over 50% of the geniuses that enter inheritances die. Moreover, the sect won't waste too much energy to investigate a dead genius. Before Zhao Feng entered the sacred True Dragon gathering, he had heard the Iron Blood Religion Deputy Patriarch mention the dangers of entering inheritances. Ice Lightning Mystic Flower. Zhao Feng was the fastest and was the first to land on the stairs and unleashed a powerful attack. Boom! With the strength of an overwhelming prodigy and the intent of transferring across space, Zhao Feng's palm suppressed the nearby true dragon geniuses. Pung pung. Ah! The geniuses all retreated and many spat out blood in shock. Chapter 385. Zhao Feng stood on the stairs, and his powerful attack stunned the other true dragon geniuses. His attack wasn't aimed at a single person, but swept across all the nearby true dragon geniuses, including those of the first tier and even overwhelming prodigies. The true dragon geniuses below the first tier were either forced back or injured. One or two were even killed on the spot. The 900-yard-tall figure attached to Zhao Feng's body, and he was like a demonic lord that stood in the dark of space. His domineering aura swept across the sky as he looked down on the heavens. This Zhao Feng's strength has risen to such a terrifying level in the third stage. He suppressed all of us by himself? Many geniuses took in a cold breath. Some of the true dragon geniuses participating in the competition were scared and left the competition or watched from afar. Of course, the other two overwhelming prodigies, Goddess Bing Wei and Tantai Lanyue, still easily destroyed Zhao Feng's attack. Apart from that, there were several first-tier true dragon geniuses that barely managed to block the attack and closed in from different directions. After all, Zhao Feng's move just now had suppressed the entire battlefield with his own strength. His dominance had left a shadow in many people's hearts. Go! Goddess Bing Wei's eyes were cold as she ordered the ghost-eyed man and Qin Kunwu of the first tier to attack Zhao Feng together. How could Goddess Bing Wei not be prepared for the mystic ice inheritance? Before this, she had roped in Zhao Feng's enemies, the ghost-eyed man and Qin Kunwu. The ghost-eyed man and Qin Kunwu had both been defeated by Zhao Feng in the second stage and taken their true dragon token. Of course, with their strength, they would be able to take someone else's true dragon token. This was especially so for the ghost-eyed man, who was extremely jealous of Zhao Feng. Now, with Goddess Bing Wei's promise, the two quickly stood on the former's side and faced Zhao Feng together. This Zhao Feng is too arrogant. We have to suppress him. The ghost-eyed man and Qin Kunwu attacked together to help Goddess Bing Wei. Ghost mist shrouded the heavens. The ghost-eyed man's eyes flickered with ghostly flames. In a flash, a large patch of ghostly fog enveloped the area where Zhao Feng was. The ghostly mist was extremely corrosive, and according to the ghost-eyed man's will, it could produce ghostly flames in any area, no longer targeting the mental plane, but the physical plane. As soon as he made his move, he knew that the ghost-eyed man had analyzed Zhao Feng thoroughly and used the best strategy. Zhao Feng was basically immune to mental energy attacks, and he could even ignore mental energy attacks of a similar level. This ghost mist sky was an eye bloodline technique that focused on trapping and killing. It originally had the ability to create illusions, but the ghost-eyed man had considered Zhao Feng's characteristics and had used mental illusions to strengthen the mist and flames. Universal Demon capturing Palm. Qin Kunwu emitted surging sounds of thunder, and his eyes were like brilliant stars. Under the support of the space-traversing phantom, he slapped out an enormous palm that was 300 m in circumference, and it seemed to be forged for violet copper and gold. It carried a vast, righteous aura that could suppress the heavens and the earth and annihilate all devils. Under the protection of the space-traversing phantom, both the ghost-eyed man and Qin Kunwu had reached the original overwhelming prodigy level. Furthermore, both of them focused on trapping and restricting Zhao Feng. The main attacker was obviously Goddess Bing Wei. Her arms danced as she sent out waves of ice lotus flames that could instantly freeze anyone below the true lord rank. Her chi of true spirit was in a half-burning state. The ice lotus flames converged to form a lifelike ice phoenix, and the faint cry of a phoenix reverberated through the air. Zhao Feng felt a bone-chilling coldness seep into his mental energy dimension, and his chi of true spirit showed signs of being frozen once again. He had been frozen by Goddess Bing Wei once, and the ice lotus flames had formed a flaming ice phoenix that was several times stronger than before. Apart from that, Qin Kunwu and the ghost-eyed man's attacks also restricted him. Wang, Zhao Feng's blue hair blew in the wind as a tall figure of ice appeared behind him. It had a crown on its head and held a giant black sword. Below it was an ice throne. With the addition of the crown and the giant black sword, it was clear that Zhao Feng's bloodline power had become even stronger. Ice lightning raging dragon. Zhao Feng didn't retreat. The 900-yard-wide figure behind him moved, and the power of ice and lightning intertwined with each other. forming a raging dragon of ice and lightning that could devour heaven and earth. Hung bung 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 long. The clash of the two even caused the mystic ice inheritance above them to become unstable. Kacha, Goddess Bing Wei's flaming ice phoenix, was torn apart and devoured. Her body retreated 2 steps as numbness spread throughout her body. Qin Kunwu and the ghost-eyed man's attacks were instantly shattered and couldn't even get close. What? Retreat. As the two of them cried out in alarm, they were struck by the ice, thunder, and lightning snakes formed by the aftermath. Their figures retreated rapidly, and their limbs became numb and stiff, almost losing the ability to move. With a pung, the ghost-eyed man was sent flying, and his body was scorched black before being frozen into an ice stick. No one knew if he was alive or dead. Qin Kun was spat out a mouthful of blood and barely managed to stay alive. The black horse that he didn't think highly of before had reached such a level and was treating him like an ant. Just the shockwaves from a battle of this level had caused him to be heavily injured. Of course, this effect wasn't just because Zhao Feng was stronger than him as an overwhelming prodigy, but also because of the 900-yard-tall heaven-striding figure. Zhao Feng, why did you? Tantan Lanyue's voice was filled with panic and grievance. She rode her spirit beast and wanted to take advantage of the situation, but didn't expect Zhao Feng's attack to also target her. At this point in time, Zhao Feng's dominating move pushed back 2 overwhelming prodigies and severely injured 2 first-tier geniuses, scaring away the geniuses that wanted to take advantage of the situation. How can the Zhao Feng be so strong? 2 overwhelming prodigies and several first-tier geniuses were suppressed by him alone. The situation isn't good. Doesn't this mean that Zhao Feng is unrivaled? The true dragon geniuses present, regardless if they were participating or not, were all stunned. In the distance, Yu Tianhao's black eyes were filled with excitement. His will to fight had been stimulated, and there was an invisible force in his bloodline. His will and faith increased greatly, helping to strengthen the shadow behind him. Xian Wuheng didn't move, and he looked at Zhao Feng with a complicated gaze. Back at Sun Feather City, when he fought with Zhao Feng, he already knew that this youth wouldn't be simple in the future. He then left and easily broke through to the Ascended Realm with his own hard work. He then went on a long journey and killed wild beasts. Before he reached the Great Country, he had already reached the half-step true spirit realm. At this point in time, Xian Wuheng thought that this youth was very far away from him, and his impression of him was becoming blurry. However, in less than a year or two, the youth that copied his moves appeared once again. It wasn't hard for Xian Wuheng to see that Zhao Feng's moves contained the essence of his blood, sweat, and tears. I have incomplete memories from my past life, and I've spent a lot of effort to get to where I am now, but he stole my rewards. Xian Wuheng felt slightly depressed. Ever since he was born, Xian Wuheng had strange memories that would often appear in his dreams. As he grew older, the memories became more and more as if he was another him. This was a secret that he had hidden for many years. He had no talent and no bloodline, but he was still able to reach the peak of the continent. At this moment, with the help of the figure, he seemed to be on par with Zhao Feng and Yu Qianhao. The memories also mentioned the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. This is the most ancient and mysterious inheritance in the heavens and earth. Even a small part of it would bring endless benefits. Furthermore, the creator of the Heaven's Legacy inheritance, the Heaven's Legacy race, is one of the top-ranked races of the 10,000 ancient races. Xian Wuheng's knowledge surpassed all the other geniuses. However, the sacred True Dragon Gathering had almost reached its end. The other 3 inheritances had all appeared, but the Heaven's Legacy inheritance still hadn't appeared. The legacy of Heaven's secrets, the origin of Heaven's will, the arrival of destiny, fate, endless good fortune. Xian Wuheng couldn't help but murmur some weird words. There was a subtle fluctuation in his words, as if it had touched some kind of pulse. At this moment, Zhao Feng was fighting Goddess Bing Wei, Tantai Lan Yue, and the other true dragon geniuses by himself. Damn you, Zhaofeng. You don't want to go in yourself, and you want to stop my fortune. Goddess Bingwei gritted her teeth in anger as she pushed her mystic ice secret technique to the maximum. It wasn't hard for the other geniuses to see that Zhaofeng was purposely suppressing Goddess Bingwei. Tantan Lanyue was on the side and messaged, Zhaofeng, you're suppressing Goddess Bingwei. How come I'm also involved? If I let you go in, Goddess Bingwei will take advantage of this. Zhaofeng said. His true goal was to stall the two overwhelming prodigies and force Goddess Bingwei into a corner. She would definitely kill him and then let her enter the mystic ice inheritance. Finally, Zhaofeng and Goddess Bingwei had to be guaranteed to enter the mystic ice inheritance. That was the only way he could kill Bingwei in the inheritances of another realm. Buzz, the clouds in the sky above the primordial Colosseum suddenly produced a strange vibration. It was invisible to the naked eye, but the mind's senses gave off the illusion of overlapping space, constantly colliding with each other. What? That's... The hearts of the 9 sovereigns jumped, and they all raised their heads. In the void, there were layers of overlapping scryer images. There was a strangely tall clock tower that pierced through the clouds, a puppet giant that could shake mountains, a mysterious celestial tower that had existed for a very long time, and there were even ancient warships and floating islands that floated in the air. Countless flickering shadows overlapped each other as an ancient aura filled the entire ancient Colosseum. The scryer images were weathered and dilapidated, as if they had come from ancient times. The instant the inheritance image appeared, all the inheritance projections present faintly shook. Even the mystic ice inheritance was suppressed, and the number of images decreased by a third. Heaven's legacy inheritance, the 9 sovereigns exclaimed, and some of the more experienced experts exclaimed, could it be the Heaven's legacy inheritance? The projection of the Tianji inheritance descended into the void above the clouds. Ignoring the rules of the ancient arena, it opened up a mysterious azure door that seemed to lead to the other side of time and space. Chapter 386. The azure light door wasn't in an illusory state. It actually existed and was different from the other doors. When the mystic ice inheritance connected, the Heaven's legacy inheritance opened a door above the floating arena. It didn't need to use the stairs and ignored the rules of the ancient arena. Just from this alone, one could see that the Heaven's legacy inheritance surpassed the other great inheritances by more than just one level. This sudden change stunned many of the true dragon geniuses present. The Heaven's legacy inheritance's descent was too sudden, and the instant it descended, it opened a door. Many geniuses didn't react in time. What an ancient aura! It's definitely the Heaven's legacy inheritance. Zhaofeng felt the mystic ice inheritance above his head tremble unsteadily. Of the 4 great inheritances, probably only the most ancient and mysterious Heaven's legacy inheritance had such power. But at the same time, Zhaofeng cursed in his heart. Why did the Heaven's legacy inheritance have to appear now of all times? The moment the Heaven's legacy inheritance appeared, the door was opened, and it was a certain distance away from Zhaofeng's side. This put him in a difficult position. Correspondingly, the Heaven's legacy inheritance was closer to some true dragon geniuses. Ha! Great! The Heaven's legacy inheritance has appeared in front of me. Looks like I'm the fated one. The 2 closest true dragon geniuses were overjoyed as they leapt towards the mysterious azure door. So. The other true dragon geniuses stared at the 2. They were enraged and unwilling to give up. Wang, the azure door shook and sent the 2 true dragon geniuses flying with a mysterious power. What's going on? The smiles on the 2 true dragon geniuses froze and were extremely ugly. Ha! The Heaven's legacy inheritance isn't a place anyone can enter. The true dragon geniuses in the distance understood and were overjoyed. So. Many true dragon geniuses on the floating arena quickly closed in on the azure door. Wang, another true dragon genius was sent flying by the door, and his expression changed slightly. In just a few breaths, the Heaven's legacy inheritance became the center of attention, and many true dragon geniuses leapt over. Amongst them included Yu Tianhao, Xian Wuheng, and Shi Qingtian. The three sky prides immediately engaged in a fierce battle in front of the ancient green light gate. Which one should we choose? Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. Goddess Bingwei and Tantai Lanyue also hesitated for half a breath. Without a doubt, the Heaven's legacy inheritance was at least a level higher than the profound ice inheritance. The inheritances inside were not limited to schools and techniques. As the most ancient and mysterious inheritance, the Heaven's legacy inheritance might contain a soul Tao inheritance. However, if Zhao Feng were to give up on the profound ice inheritance and fight for the fortune inheritance instead, he would have to bear a greater risk. He might even miss out on both inheritances. This was because there was a certain distance between the profound ice inheritance and the Heaven's legacy inheritance. At this moment, the entrance of the Tianji inheritance was being controlled by Yu Qianhao, Xian Wuheng, and Shi Qingtian. They could enter at any time and in the connection of the Tianji inheritance. All the great inheritances had a limited number of slots, which was suitable for the 4 great inheritances. Once I choose the heavenly legacy inheritance, I'm destined to miss out on the profound ice inheritance. Zhao Feng's thoughts spun rapidly. He seemed to have thought a lot, but it was not even a tenth of the time it took for him to blink. Suddenly, decisiveness and sharpness appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. Right at this moment, Tantai Lanyue and Goddess Bingwei used their full power to attack Zhao Feng. A crystal-clear ice sword appeared in Goddess Bingwei's hand and slashed out rays of icy light. With the help of the figure, the invisible sword slashed into the mental energy dimension first. Tantai Lanyue waved her rainbow whip and commanded the horned earth dragon beast. She bit her teeth and attacked Zhao Feng without holding back. Boom! Zhao Feng was annihilated by the attacks of the 2 overwhelming prodigies. Shua! A streak of lightning could be seen with the naked eye as it flew towards the direction of the heavenly legacy inheritance. As expected, Tantai Lanyue wasn't surprised. She didn't think the 2 of them together could threaten Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's target was even higher, the most ancient and mysterious heavenly legacy inheritance. Shua! Tantai Lanyue rode the horned earth dragon beast and used its large size to push Goddess Bingwei aside and enter the mystic ice inheritance first. After one person entered, the door of the mystic ice inheritance dimmed a bit. Goddess Bingwei's expression changed slightly, and just as she was about to enter, she felt a pain in her mind. Lightning Fire God's Eye. A half-transparent azure lightning fire landed on Goddess Bingwei's body. Caught off guard, the power of the lightning fire spread throughout her body and burned her soul. With the figure, Zhao Feng's lightning fire god's eye's power reached a whole new level. Even those at the true lord rank would find it hard to retreat unscathed. Adding on that Goddess Bingwei had let down her guard and was caught off guard, this lightning fire god's eye did a lot of damage to her. Who would have thought that Zhao Feng would use a lightning fire god's eye when he retreated? Yufei, quickly enter the mystic ice inheritance. Zhao Feng warned Zhao Yufei, not far away. He had used the lightning fire god's eye to suppress Goddess Bingwei. He originally wanted to leave a spot for Zhao Yufei to enter the mystic ice inheritance. This plan was completed in a blink of an eye. Since he had given up on the mystic ice inheritance, he couldn't let Goddess Bingwei have it. Zhao Yufei originally had the strength of a quasi-overwhelming prodigy, and her teleportation figure was stronger than Goddess Bingwei's. More importantly, she had broken through to the early stages of the true mystic rank as her cultivation rose. Now that Goddess Bingwei was injured, Zhao Yufei had a high chance of taking the former spot. That's right, Zhao Feng's plan was perfect. It could attack enemies and help friends at the same time. But the problem was, something had also happened on Zhao Yufei's side. While the other true dragon geniuses were fighting for the inheritance, Zhao Yufei didn't move. She sat cross-legged with pain on her forehead, and the chi of true spirit within her body vibrated and resonated with the heaven-earth yuan chi. Zhao Yufei's entire body contained the purest chi of true spirit, and with the addition of the figure, her cultivation suddenly rose, and her chi of true spirit rose once more. At the same time, her bloodline power changed. Wah! Zhao Yufei suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and a trace of fine markings of light faintly appeared on her skin that was pure white like jade. Azure, violet, red, blue. It changed without end. Yufei. Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly, and his footsteps stopped. He immediately opened his god's spiritual eye and inspected Zhao Yufei's situation. The sudden increase in cultivation, the collision of the chi of true spirit, she needs an outlet, and the change in her bloodline. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye was more accurate than any doctor's. Right at this moment, a figure flashed in the azure door below the heaven's legacy inheritance. Shua, Xin Wuheng, stepped through the azure door and became the first true dragon genius to enter the heaven's legacy inheritance. The door to the heaven's legacy inheritance was extremely weird, and Xin Wuheng had tried at least 3 times before successfully entering. Yu Tianhao had also tried 3 times, and Shi Qingtian had tried 2 times, but hadn't succeeded. After several tens of thousands of years, another person has entered the heaven's legacy inheritance. With Xin Wuheng's comprehension and fortune, he'll definitely have the ability to rule the heavens in the future. The future of the continent will be changed by the 10,000 Origin Clan. The upper echelon of the 10,000 Origin Clan were overjoyed. The other forces of the continent were envious and sighed as they stared at the heaven's legacy inheritance. Luckily, after one person entered, the azure door to the heaven's legacy inheritance was still stable and didn't close. There's still a chance. The 10 great clans, families, and even the sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance were expectant. At this moment, the heaven's legacy inheritance became the focus. As for the mystic ice inheritance, it had disappeared. In this sacred true dragon gathering, the 4 great inheritances appeared one by one. The heaven's legacy inheritance became the last part of the competition and was full of surprises and twists. Shua. Zhao Feng used his time and headed towards the heaven's legacy inheritance. Meow meow. At the same time, a little silver cat turned into a blur and landed next to Zhao Yufei. Zhao Feng's thoughts spun, and he made the decision to fight for the heaven's legacy inheritance himself and let the little thieving cat take care of Zhao Yufei. Shua. Yu Qianhao's silhouette flashed as he passed through the ancient blue light door and disappeared. After Xin Wuheng, Yu Qianhao was the second to enter the heaven's legacy inheritance. At this crucial moment, Zhao Feng had also arrived. Shi Qingtian was instantly a little anxious and fiercely slammed against the ancient green light door. In the end, he was jolted open again. Let me try. Zhao Feng forcefully pushed away the true dragon geniuses and turned into a blur as he charged towards the azure door. Shua. Zhao Feng was also smashed open by the azure door. He wasn't surprised and opened his god's spiritual eye to inspect the azure door. Before, Xin Wuheng and Yu Tianhao had also tried several times before entering the heaven's legacy inheritance. Right at this moment, Zhao Yufei, who was sitting cross-legged in the distance, groaned in pain. Colorful runes of light appeared on her skin, making her look brilliant. Pa! Pa! The little thieving cat seemed to think and waved its paws on either side of Zhao Yufei's back. Wang! Zhao Yufei let out a delicate shout. Rays of light blossomed from the part of her back that was hit, and a pair of translucent light wings extended out, emitting a faint lustrous brilliance. As the pair of translucent wings extended, the chi of true spirit within Zhao Yufei's body finally had an outlet. At the same time, her aura rose to a whole new level. Thank you. Zhao Yufei looked gratefully at the little thieving cat with lingering fear. Meow meow. The little thieving cat suddenly sensed something and threw out several copper coins. They flew around in the air, clanging and clanging. In the next instant, woo boom, the entire ancient Colosseum, and even the void itself, shook slightly. Zhao Yufei sensed something and raised her head along with the little thieving cat. At this moment, the Heaven's Legacy inheritance above the arena started to shake, and a weird zhizhi sound came from the air. Immediately following, a strange floating image that blotted out the sky and covered the sun, mysterious, deep, and boundless, was born. When looked at from afar, it was like a deep pool of a mirror lake, and it was multicolored, gorgeous, and rippled with various ripples. Bam! The most ancient and mysterious Heaven's Legacy inheritance had been forcefully smashed apart by the mysterious and unknown inheritance shadow. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.